Steven Crowder, famous for his change my mind segments. For some reason, it thinks everything's highlighted. Um, famous for his change my mind segments.
I'm saying one.
And here he has. We have Black Lives Matter's domestic terrorist organization, and as I have with the other change my minds, it doesn't change the fact that it's not a joke. Yeah, you're right. It is a joke. Um, so he he has this as with the other ones. Holy shit! I just fucking brain farted. Uh, like with the other change of minds, I like to predict what his argument is going to be before he makes it to show how predictable and wrong he's going to be and how misinformed his super common opinion is. What I'm pretty sure he's going to say is that he's going to point to different scenarios in which violence occurred uh, around a Black Lives Matter rally, and he's going to say that is Black Lives Matter. End of story. I'm going to guess. And I'm going to preemptively point out why that's stupid and hypocritical real quick, because he's the same guy who defended Trump's on many sides situation from Charlottesville, a situation where there were, in fact, only Nazis on that side. The people who were protesting the removal of that statue were all Nazis. And they were carrying Confederate Nazi flags, they were doing Nazi chants, and Crowder was saying that they weren't all Nazis. Even if they weren't all Nazis, he was saying, well, we can't just condemn the entirety of the movement. And so he's gonna, I predict he's gonna do that here, and that's why he's a hypocrite.
Why not? Okay, let's just abolish the police. Let's just see what happens. If it crashes and burns, okay, then it crashes
But I
and burns.
thought Black Lives Matter.
If it crashes and burns,
But many black.
That might have been the dumbest response I've ever heard in my life. Well, let's abolish the police. I disagree with that, but he's like, well, let's abolish the police. Let's see what happens. And you go, I thought Black Lives Matter. Cool. You want to talk about what we were talking about now?
Black people be killed. Innocent black people.
That was a long one.
Time for the newest installment of Change My Mind, where we rationalize our positions on controversial topics. For this installment, we set up shop in Austin, Texas to discuss why Antifa should be labeled a domestic terrorist organization.
He is funny as shit. Okay, so Antifa is not Black Lives Matter. Antifa isn't even an organization itself. And I have a strong feeling that no one's going to fucking point that out to him. And that's going to bother me.
We're gonna burn their building down! Well, we realized Antifa's a little niche, so we wanted to cast our net wider. So, one is saying Black Lives Matter is a domestic terrorist organization.
Peaceful protests across the country were upended by violence over the weekend.
This is mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly, but fires have been started.
So there is some of that, but for the most part, they have been very, very peaceful.
When we do move with the Panthers, trust me, when you see me move, I'm moving in violence. If they go about that burden of whatever they said you're doing, you pull your piss out, you fuck that.
Was that a church potluck? I couldn't tell the difference. But what do you think? Do you think that Black Lives Matter, the organization, should be considered a domestic terror group? Let me know in the
No.
comments below.
I'm not going to comment because he doesn't give a shit about differing opinions when someone actually has a good point.
First up, Alana.
All right, so your name is Alana. Can you spell that for me?
E-O-E-N-A.
Okay, and you know that this is being filmed, obviously.
Oh,
You can tell by the giant camera.
I should use my fake numerous.
Well, that's fine. I have a bunch of fake names, but I don't know why I do it. It just makes me feel more secure. You know, like I'm undercover doing something important. So like I said, we kind of just talked about it. The idea is to rationalize our positions on controversial topics, and hopefully it doesn't emerge into a shouting match. That's why we try and sit down. We can't offer you any beverage right now because the COVID, the virus, and the bird flu. But yeah, I do believe unequivocally.
He does these things in the fucking Change of Minds where he just slightly alludes to little things and puts in little jabs that like just real shit, just like actual things that are happening, and he just puts in little jabs about how mad he is about it. It hurts me watching misinformed people that aren't prepared to debate him. Yeah, you know what bothers me the most about it is that I fucking promise there are people who have absolutely shit on him in a Change My Mind segment. He just doesn't have to upload it. He has purposely hidden the locations of where his next Change My Minds will be consistently as a direct result to not debate the, I think, like 4 or 5 people he has completely ducked out on debating. He's so dumb. I hate him.
Black Lives Matter, the organization as it stands right now, and yeah.
It's sped up because shit's so fucking long. They just talk and talk and talk. I just want to speed it up.
Not the way the movement is developed, but specifically the organization is a domestic terrorist organization.
Is it because of the recent damage?
Because of a lot of things, yeah. So I mean, you're over $600 million in property damage. carnage, right? 18 officers, or 18 people killed, over 20 people killed, sort of like in an auxiliary fashion around these protests, 14,000 arrests, and all of this is being carried out specifically to try and obviously get their demands met, which are outlined by their charter and their founders. And you know, I think that might be something that a lot of people may not be familiar with. So I have them right here. This is from the Black Lives Matter organization. You can grab one of those if you want. So you asked an interesting question.
I wish I could fucking find one of these so I could show up. But you know what would piss me off so much is that I would really, really want someone to film it for me as well. Because I guarantee he is not going to put that on there. Because, dude, I would come on Crowder's fucking face. I would blow his back out in a debate. He is so stupid and dishonest, and these kids don't understand, they don't know the facts and the evidence that actually exists, and they don't necessarily understand how to debate, and they can't spot the consistent dishonesty and fallacies that he spews out of his mouth. There's no fault on them. It just so happens to be the case that when you meet with average people, that's what tends to happen. And it pisses me off because he will never fucking upload it.
I don't have a problem with the idea that Black Lives Matter. I don't think anyone has a problem with that. Just like if you say, hey, this is the Don't Kick Puppies movement, nobody has a problem with it. But when you look at the reason they're carrying out these acts of violence right now across the country,
they aren't carrying out acts of violence. People are doing it, and they say they're part of Black Lives Matter, and they don't.
As you well know here in Austin, I mean, the city is just amazed as to how terrible it is here. It's nothing but wooden boards and homeless people.
I saw them when I was walking.
Yeah, it's really pretty. Are you from Austin?
No, I'm not from Austin.
So you're visiting?
Yes.
You picked a hell of a time to visit. It's usually better than this. So with all that.
Oh, this is in Austin. Oh man, the video a little too quiet. That's actually unfortunate. Let me turn up.
A terrorist organization, a domestic terrorist organization.
He's talking quietly right now.
Well, I guess I disagree because I feel like, you know, you can't just group everyone.
Does that get louder? Are you
to,
good?
You know, like, of course, there's obviously people who are doing bad stuff, you know, like, you know, stealing from people who, like, their small businesses and everything.
Is this
you know,
any better?
I understand that.
Dude, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna keep playing with it, and then I'm gonna keep doing the video, and then you tell me if it got fixed or not. Yeah, I hate him. Is basically that's gonna come up a lot.
You can't just group everyone into.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. This is okay. If it's a little bit better, I can turn it up a little bit more. So we're in Austin, and in Austin a couple weeks ago, there was a guy who was pushing his girlfriend in a wheelchair, and a white nationalist opened fire and shot at him, and shot twice, ended up killing the guy. And then another protester shot at that guy, and he shot 5 times, and he did not actually hurt the driver, who was the domestic terrorist. The domestic terrorist's reasoning, as far as what his lawyer says, is that he felt threatened because there were people with guns around him. And it's an open carry state, so you can open and carry semi-automatic rifles. So yeah, I'm interested in why the fuck it is remotely reasonable to have an open carry in a stand your ground state at the exact same time when someone is allowed to legally open carry, and you can see it, not like it, and then shoot them, and then get away with it. I don't know if this guy will get away with it, but if what he is pleading, which is a stand your ground thing, if that ends up going through, then he's gonna get away with it. It blows my fucking mind that both of those things can be simultaneously true, and someone can actually get away with murder. Like, it's crazy to me.
Like, of course, there's obviously people who are doing bad stuff, you know, like, you know, stealing from people who, like, their small businesses and everything. You know, I understand that, right? But I feel like
murdering.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I think that's a big problem, the murdering, the killing.
I did see one video where one person was being assaulted.
Oh, no, when we have the numbers, yeah.
To be clear, I'm not necessarily an advocate of the murder. I don't think you should be murdering people.
Right here, I mean, it's over 18 dead, 900 officer casualties as well. Yeah, there have been a lot of deaths. I mean, this guy, actually, are you aware of who this is?
900 officer deaths. That's a little sus. I'm not gonna completely deny it. Probably over like the last 75 days or some shit since George Floyd died, is what he's referring to. Number of recorded complaints filed against. I swear to God, if this is a 900 number, dude. I'm sorry. Okay, all right, here we go. Oh my God, since 2000, bro.
It's a new kind of.
Who's the most dishonest motherfucker?
This is that African American officer.
Yeah, David Dorn.
Yes.
Yeah, he was killed too.
Yes,
So
I heard about that. That was really sad.
yeah, it was really sad.
Yeah, he was an older gentleman. I felt that was problematic.
Yeah,
But
I'd
was
say
it it was the like looters and the rioters?
it was being carried out from the looters and the rioters. Yeah, in the name of George.
Again, a side thing. If you're ever in a debate with a conservative or a Trump trainer or like a Trump supporter, just check any source they have. Like every time I've ever done it, they've been wrong. They're just wrong about shit like all the time, and it's fucking hilarious. If you're ever in a debate and you just ask for sources, and when they give you sources, just actually read them, and then you just prove them wrong, and now they look stupid. So just a fun fact.
So what about the people who are like innocent? What about like the people who are like they have a problem with like police brutality, and then people who have a problem with black people being murdered and hurt in the country?
I have
So
a problem with that. Yeah, I have a problem with that. So
Then why aren't you doing anything, Crowder? Sorry if I peeked
I
out.
want to kind of unpack that, but before we get to that, like I said, my problem is really with the organization. I think when you see what the organization, Black Lives Matter, which by the way is a very influential, very well-funded organization, what their demands are, then maybe you see
Well-funded organization. So is Crowder. Fun fact: there because of like taxes and like freedom of information stuff, you can find out certain things about his business, his organization as Steven Crowder. So he failed at being a comedian. He failed as a Fox News commentator, and now he's doing really good on YouTube, being a dumb shit. And it turns out he's funded by like 3 or 4 really prominent capital owners that have like hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, and they like give him money to spew out like I'm gonna queue up another video to spew out stuff like this. Labor Day. Not that.
Stupor and laying in a puddle
His
of their own
actual
vomit.
one.
Hey, deriding them for that? That's
all right. It's broken. YouTube broke. But he had a Labor Day video where he pretty much was like, "Hey, fuck you. Why are you taking off? Your boss works so hard to keep the business working." And basically, he's just super classist, just anti-worker shit constantly. Blows my mind.
we have a problem with it. So we can go through these together. Do you agree with these demands? The dismantling of cisgender privilege, uplifting black trans people, disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure, completely abolishing the police.
Let's go through these one by one.
It's a very influential, very well-funded organization. What their demands are, then maybe you see where you have a problem with it. So we can go through these together. Do you agree with these demands? The dismantling of cisgender.
Okay, I don't know why he's in favor of, and I assume he's like against all of these, and I could be wrong, but I don't know why anyone would be an advocate of any type of like actual like demonstrated privilege. If you can prove that someone has a privilege of some sort, like why are you in favor of that? Like inherent privilege for no reason other than who they are. If you're a cisgender and you can demonstrate that there's privilege there, like why are you in favor of the privilege still existing?
Privilege, uplifting black trans people.
Uplifting black trans people. What's wrong with that? Oh, he's a transphobe. I forgot. He's a transphobe and a racist.
People disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family structure.
Yeah, okay. So the Western prescribed nuclear family structure, that's one mom, one dad, or so one man, one woman as a mom and a dad, and they have kids, and they are traditionalist. That is the nuclear family. And the reason that people over, on the right will say we should keep that is because they say that that is the best way to raise kids, right? So the kid needs a mother and a father, right? They need a man and a woman as an influence. And that's dumb because statistics happen to show otherwise. Generally, people who are brought up in same-sex couples, households, as like adopted kids, end up being more successful on average. They end up being happier on average. They end up finding better jobs. Just a ton of shit. They end up being more educated. I heard Ben Shapiro taught him jujitsu. That I didn't even catch that at first. That was a pretty good one. Lord forbid that two mothers. Exactly, it's fucking stupid.
Completely abolishing the police.
Completely abolishing the police. Eventually, we don't have the social infrastructure for that right now. If we abolish the police, shit would probably go crazy. Defunding the police, on the other hand, I'm 100% in favor of because the police are insanely overfunded. So much so that they are able to buy copious amounts of weapons and armor that they are not trained to use, and these weapons and armor from the military were designed specifically with things like the court martial in mind, where that if you misuse this, you are subject to the court martial, which is different from like anything in the regular judicial system in America. And these people are not subject to the court martial. In fact, they have qualified immunity under the current system. That there's a reason that like even police officers can't have RPGs. There's a reason even police officers aren't allowed to have tanks, because these things are so much further from like just the right to bear arms that it becomes dangerous. And so like defunding the police is 100% great, but abolishing the police at this particular moment, no, it wouldn't work.
Was the family structure,
Yeah.
because I think like it's very low, the percentage of like people who grow up with fathers and like the community.
In the black community, yeah.
Yes, so I do feel like that's very problematic, especially I grew up in a culture where that doesn't happen. You just don't not have a dad, you know?
So you did have a dad?
Yes, I did have a dad.
That's good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I consider that,
So-
when we talk about privilege, and I don't like to see things from just the prism of race, but
Mhm.
having a family,
I
having a
think
father and
it's
mother is a tremendous privilege.
I think it's very important. I think also too, like, I feel like that's
Cool.
something that can be very beneficial to have our father.
I mean, he's right. That's not wrong. That's 100% right. If you happen to have both parents in the house and you are not missing like a father, for example, or you're not missing a mother, then you are like statistically less prone to committing crime. So you're just better off usually when you have two parents rather than one.
In the house,
Right.
you know? So I guess I don't agree with the like not having a family structure. 'Cause I think it's
She doesn't know what a nuclear family is. Another example of someone who just doesn't really get it, and so like he's just able to be dishonest as much as he wants.
Yeah.
Yes.
So these are the demands from Black Lives Matter, the founders, and you can actually go read them on their website, and we have some links there. So considering that these are the demands, and obviously the right.
Okay, so what the fuck? Aside from the fact that all of the demands he gave were completely reasonable, matter.com/what we believe. Okay, that doesn't exist. Let's try this. Am I stupid? Black Lives Matter. Maybe Google will give it to me. Please allow up to 5 seconds. Okay, here we go. Okay. Let's take a look at these. See how reasonable these are. If Black Lives Matter is completely ridiculous. Is oh, okay. We make space for transgender. Oh, I think that okay, this isn't a list of demands. Yeah, okay. So there's another bit of dishonesty from Crowder. These aren't demands. These are just things that they like believe in. I thought these were they do have a list of demands somewhere, which are all extremely reasonable. But I don't know where it is. Maybe here. Uh I don't know. Is this Breonna Taylor? I thought I just saw the word Breonna Taylor. No, guess not. Well, no. Okay, so that's just the things that they believe. They aren't fucking demands.
Lives Matter, the founders, and you can actually go read them on their website, and we have some links there. So considering that these are the demands, and obviously the rioting and the looting, which is, I mean, unprecedented levels of violence and property damage. At what point, what would be required, I guess, if you don't consider that domestic terrorism? You know, $600 million in property damage, around 20-something people killed, 900 officer casualties. These are the demands.
900. Okay, so the 900 numbers, I mean, that's bullshit. Other than that, like 18 injuries, there are. So this isn't whataboutism, but there are like organizations that aren't considered domestic terrorist organizations that have done significantly less than what BLM has done in the past. Not to mention the fact that systemic, not terrorism, I guess you could call it terrorism. For most of America, it was terrorism against black people. But America has been systemically racist towards these people on a consistent basis for like all of history, to this day even. And so like the idea that $600 million of property damage, some of which I would disagree with, others of which I would agree with, like for example the police departments that shielded police officers who would just kill minorities, stuff like that I'm okay with. But I mean, I wouldn't call them a domestic terrorist organization because their goal is not terror. Their goal is change. They want like physical change in the country they live in to make the world better. The difference is that, like, for example, for an Islamic terrorist won't stop until, like, infidels are all killed. Like, policy change isn't going to do anything for them. For these people, when policy changes in parts of this country, the rioting magically stops. I wonder what fucking caused that. When policy change, when you hold cops more accountable, when you reform the training program, when you end qualified immunity, when things like this happen, all of a sudden, property damage goes in the fucking toilet, goes completely down. People just stop rioting. Like, that it blows my fucking mind that people don't understand this.
The organization, what would be required for you to see it as domestic terrorism at a certain point?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I feel like I feel like the term domestic terrorism, I feel like it's very hard to pinpoint. You know, like even then, like people are, say that the KKK, they're also a domestic terrorist organization.
Sure.
Facts.
But
if domestic, let's get rid of that. But the idea of a terrorist organization or terrorism is to instill terror, fear, using violence or intimidation in order to achieve a political or ideological agenda. So
their goal is not terror. Their goal is to demonstrate frustration. That's a really big difference. Demonstrating frustration and then actually trying to terrify everyone around you are very, very different things. And he's conflating those two things, I suspect, on purpose.
You see that with things like ISIS, the Taliban. You see it with, you can see the KKK, for example. And yeah, I would say that Black Lives Matter, given their demands and the levels of violence right now, along with Antifa, the two have sort of become one and the same.
It's still crazy to me that he thinks those demands are terrorist demands. Like these are just... I don't understand that. Like, he's fear-mongering so hard for things that are so fucking reasonable and even, like, beneficial to this country.
Domestic terror organization. Not saying the words Black Lives Matter, not wanting to talk about black issues because everyone agrees with that.
But isn't that a problem then with the leadership, that they're not telling people to... Because I remember when I was seeing the rioting and looting on TV, I had a problem because if you're to say, like, this, I feel like that's why we're having this conversation right now, right? Because if the leadership were to say, like, hey, the people who are doing negative stuff, you need to stop, right? So the peaceful protesters can continue to do what they're doing, then we wouldn't be having this conversation of, oh, are they a domestic terrorist group or not?
So why did peaceful protests turn into riots? Why did that happen? So riots have been going on, particularly with BLM, for the past couple years. I disagree with equal rights, so you guys are clearly terrorists. Yes, but he would never be that honest. He would never do that. Crowder would never say that shit. That's too on the nose for exactly what he believes. But so rioting has been going on for a while. But before that, there was peaceful protest on a consistent basis. There was like the main movement in the 60s. There was the early 90s where there was some racial tensions that were stirred up during the OJ trial. And of course, this whole time things have been happening, but like major racial points have been happening. Particularly, I believe when Michael Brown died, that's when BLM became a big thing, and riots started happening. So Colin Kaepernick kneels. Well, he's a son of a bitch, and no one gives a shit. And everyone who already agreed with him agrees with him still, and everyone who doesn't agree with him just thinks he's a piece of shit. And now it is been worse almost. And he's lost his job. And LeBron James, Kobe, they're wearing shirts like "I Can't Breathe" to represent Eric Gardner, who said that 11 times. Well, cops just killed him, fucking on tape, and they got away with it. So this peaceful stuff doesn't get stuff done. This is why I say I'm not necessarily in favor of wearing or of the idea of looting. But not only do I think it hurts the movement to condemn looting, but also there is very clearly utility in looting. Shit's getting done. The property damage he's talking about is resulting in overhauls at certain police stations. It's getting shit done. I feel like Tupac with the food in the hotel analogy hit on the nose. I don't know what you're talking about, unfortunately. I don't know what that is.
Is the leadership of the opposite. They reiterate, no, we want the complete abolition of all police. One of the founders reiterated that in an op-ed in the New York Times. So we're not talking about fringe people.
I'm in favor of that, again, only after we do a bunch of other social infrastructural policy stuff.
randomly on 3rd Street. We're talking about founding members of the Black Lives Matter movement. It's pretty hard to say, hey, go out and protest peacefully when you're demanding the complete and total abolition of all police. So this is what they are aiming for, the organization Black Lives Matter. And I think that a lot of people who say the words and think that the words sound good, and I would say the words sound good. I think all lives matter. I think Black Lives Matter. I think anytime you say X lives matter, people are on board with it because there are a lot of people who are inherently good.
No, what the fuck? No. For some fucking reason, Black Lives Matter is the limit for like everyone, including Crowder, until this debate. He can say blue lives matter, he could say white lives matter, he could say Asian lives matter, he could say all lives matter, but Black Lives Matter is a big problem and he won't say it. Even before there was like a big problem with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Got a follower. Yo, I'm glad we got to test that out. It's really short. Yeah. Open a new tab. Hello.
Yes, my raps are filled with rage. One of these days, we gotta bust back for the homies. You have to be logical. You know, if I know that in this hotel room they have food every day, and I'm knocking on the door every day to eat, and they open the door, let me see the party, let me see like them throwing salami all over just like throwing food around. But they're telling me there's no food in here. You know what I'm saying? Every day. I'm standing outside trying to sing my way in. You know what I'm saying? We are hungry, please let us in. We are hungry, please let us in.
Thank you
After
for
about
following.
a week, that song is going to change the, we hungry, we need some food. After 2-3 weeks, it's like, give me all the food, breaking out the door. And after a year, you just like, you know what I'm saying? I'm picking the lock, coming through the door, blasting, you know what I'm saying?
First of all, holy shit, I fucking love Tupac. Tupac is so socially aware, and he was so fucking ahead of his time. His music is like fucking like a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. Fuck it, I love rap. That's another thing. Fun fact about me. But he was so socially aware. He was so smart, and he understood it to such a degree that when he was in prison being interviewed, or sorry, not prison, when he was in the hospital being interviewed, like he had just gotten fucking shot. And he was still like by like some gang member who didn't like him, and he was still advocating for black rights. And it's so fucking amazing, and I love him. And yes, that is a very, very good analogy.
It's like you hungry, you reached your level, you don't want any more. We asked.
And it I think it speaks even more than what you I think that you were trying to point out. It speaks to the idea that for the same reason that like the NBA has so many black people in it, the NFL has so many black people, that these people are raised in an environment in which they are taught the only way out of here is if you could do this, if you could do that. I mean, there's a line from a J. Cole song where he's like unless you dribble or you fiddle with Mike. So he's talking about like people who can play basketball or they can rap, and like that's kind of the black populist thing. And so yeah, negative commercial junk rap for white boys with negative stereotypes. Was that like a declarative sentence? I don't know what that means. But yeah.
They know what the root is of this organization and the root of the violence. And I think that it needs to be treated just like any other terror organization. Like the KKK, to use your comparison. I think that's an apt one. I think it's actually a good comparison for you.
I think also too, I feel like why maybe a lot of people don't I guess don't see the damage is because at least like it happens in a lot of downtown areas. That's why I noticed too. Like so, for example, we had from in my city, we had also like some like people who were breaking into stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But because Texas is a very big state, right? So like it's very easy to just live in your little suburb community and just post like, oh, Black Lives Matter, but not realize you're not downtown. Like nobody, I don't know anybody who lives like downtown Austin. Right. I don't know anybody who lives like downtown Del Rio. So it's very like.
Well, that brings us to another point. Is who do you think that abolishing the police, right, and these acts of violence that are mostly being carried out in urban areas, who does it affect most negatively? Often black people of color.
It's very easy to say, like, I remember watching this one video.
It depends. It really depends on where he's talking about specific.
Man, and he put his life savings into a business, and basically they came and they ruined it, right? And it was very hard to see.
That's awful, and even the most diehard Black Lives Matter supporters will say, yeah, they shouldn't have fucked with that specific business. It was black owned, it was black built up, and it had black customers, and there was no reason to try to tear that down. Some will say that it technically wasn't his business and that it was the white-owned banks. There is some degree of truth to that, but that speaks more to capitalism than racism.
see that, right? And I'll see like a lot of people online saying, a lot of it's justified, but even though I was very hard to agree with because, for somebody who lives in a suburb or who's rich and they're posting, things are replaceable, no, that's not always true. If you put your life savings into something and then somebody comes and destroys it, that's not.
That's what this man died helping protect.
As fucking segue, push my agenda a little bit. Yeah, we should have a better social safety net for people who actually want to start businesses. But capitalism breeds innovation, am I right? You fucking shit goes wrong, and then your business goes belly up. Then all of a sudden you're homeless, and the innovation you wanted to push forward you can't do anymore. You have no social safety net. So part of that is fixed by abolishing the idea of traditional and laissez-faire capitalism.
He was off duty at that point. Officer David Dorn, a black man who served his community, which I think keeps coming down because of my beard. So
it's okay.
I have my nose.
He's a big fucking strong man.
On my mouth. I don't know how you live with this.
Okay, put the number 1 in chat if you'd fuck Crowder. I'll be the first.
I hate all of you. I need a better mask. It was a friend who called him, and he was off duty, and they were looting a store, and he got shot.
No one wants to fuck Crowder? That's crazy.
From a Black Lives Matter rioter, looter, protester. And so it's interesting, we see a shrine here for Garrett Foster, the guy who was shot in Austin, who aimed an AK-47 into a car and was shot. But how much do we hear about?
I can't believe he just said that. So, to be clear, the guy who was pushing his girlfriend in a wheelchair, that's Garrett Foster. And he just said that Garrett Foster pointed an AK-47 into a car and then got shot. That is the most blatant lie I've ever heard in my entire life. That's... I don't even know what to say to that. Like, that is insane to me that he just fucking said that.
David Dorn. If we're talking about Black Lives Matter, this is a black man who served his community for a very long time as a police officer, who had a stellar record, who went in to protect a business of his friend that, like you said, was his life savings had been poured into that, and he was shot for a television set. He doesn't get really honored on television. It doesn't really get covered.
It's kind of sad that he's bitched off for television.
Isn't it sad? To me, it was really, even watching that tape, and
I'm not in favor of murdering cops, also. And officially, neither is Black Lives Matter.
Of course, appalled as anyone was the George Floyd tape. But this was really, really tough to take because there was no misunderstanding. There was no escalation. It was just a guy went on the TV, shot him dead in the street for nothing. But I would like to go back to something that you brought up because I think you made some good points. I think the comparison to the KKK with this sort of charter, I think is a good one. And I know that you mentioned how important it was, family, and how important that was.
No. Okay, there's another snuck argument that he's fucking. I know I have it at 1.5 speed, but he fucking ran past that real fucking quick. Where he said that she compared Black Lives Matter to the KKK. No, she didn't. What she said was that KKK should be considered it should be considered a terrorist organization. She did not compare the two. It's a snuck argument, and now he's gonna get her arguing against straw man. I fucking guarantee it.
So, I'm sure that you're aware of the violent crime in the black community in the United States. It's very, very high. And unlike actual racists.
Yo, if he says 1350. Dude, I don't have affiliate yet, so I can't say you got to donate $1. But if he says 1350, I fucking swear to God.
Like the KKK, or I would consider Black Lives Matter, who attribute all these statistics to race, right? White supremacists would say, well, they commit murder at 37 times the rate of white Americans or the average population because they're black. Or Nick Cannon on the flip side said,
basically 1350.
Black people have soul because of the melanin. I don't believe it's that at all. I think a huge stark contrast and a reason you see this reflection of statistics is, like you said, because of no fathers in the home, because of having broken families.
Guys, Steven Crowder is right about the first thing ever. A single-parent household does make you more predisposed to crime. The first thing we need a counter. We need a counter for this stream.
Black Lives Matter, the organization, and they demand the complete abolition of police, and they also want to disrupt the Western nuclear family. It is proactively going to victimize more black Americans.
No, it won't. Okay, there's another bit of dishonesty. He used her misunderstanding of what the fuck a nuclear family is to try to demonstrate his own point and get her to agree. This guy's so fucking dishonest. It's crazy.
You can correct me if this could be the white privilege talking, but I don't see this being representative of what most black Americans want.
I guess.
That is your white privilege talking. All of those are like super common liberal talking points, and like something like 97% of blacks who vote liberal. They vote blue. Not liberal. They vote blue. More liberal than right.
What would you like to see come of all this?
I would like to see black people have better lives. That's what I would like to see. And I think it's important for black people to have better lives too. I think what do I think? That's hard.
I would like to see black people have better lives too.
That's what I would like to see too.
I'd like to see all Americans have
And I
better lives.
hope that the movement does help them have better lives. That's what I hope. I hope something helps them have better lives.
I think the movement's going to, unfortunately, I think this organization, Black Lives Matter, and I think the movement is actually going to set black Americans back quite a bit. I
How?
think it's going to create more racism. Let me ask you this. This is a concern that I have. You're younger than I am, I believe. Let's say you're a young white American right now, okay? I was raised in sort of a post-racial America. I had black friends. I was raised in Canada, but was born in Detroit. But I had black friends, we had Asian friends. It never really came up, right? We were the generation where
I got black friends. I know that wasn't his point, but I think that's like kind of a subliminal thing that he's trying to put in your head.
wanted everyone to be the same. And now they're demanding segregated hospitals, as you see from Black Lives Matter. They're demanding segregated schools. They're demanding black-only spaces. We would have been very surprised in my generation.
Citation fucking needed. BLM advocating for, I think I spelled that wrong. Black Lives Matter movement, whose mission is to affirm black folks, contributes to this society, is to affirm black folks' contributions to this society. I'm a dumbass. Our humanity and our resilience in the face of deadly oppression. Facts. Has a flawed ideology. Racial exclusion that is clearly illustrated in Lisa. Okay. Confused by that, the host followed up because I thought the whole point of Black Lives Matter would be to speak out against singling people out on the basis of their race and punishing them for that because you can't control what your race is, and yet you seem to be doing that. Please explain that to me. What I said to that is boo hoo hoo. Darden shot back. You white people are angry because you couldn't use your white privilege card to get invited to the Black Lives Matter All Black Memorial Day celebration. Well, BLM. So to be clear, I do think that like veterans or the people who have died. So not veterans, the people who have died for this country that would be celebrating Memorial Day. I don't think that. I think neither the black nor the white people who died would be in favor of a black only Memorial Day. Do I give a shit that they were like, no white people can come in? I don't care. I really don't care. And I think there is some degree of truth to white people are angry because they couldn't use their white privilege card to get into that. Yeah, I think that white people have a ton of privilege and they're usually allowed to do kind of whatever the fuck they want in terms of what the public is allowed to do. And that is not something that is given to every group of people, every minority, that is. So, like I said, if that's what he's talking about, well, he said schools. I think this whole article is about Memorial Day. Oh, wait. Hostile. I thought this was a hospital at first glance. Okay. Either way, I highly doubt he's telling the truth because he lies about
it. Yeah, this happening at universities all across the country. Yeah, black-only spaces, black-only study groups.
Fucking schools. Okay, if he's talking about HBCUs, that's a totally different thing. I'm gonna have this on the side so I can fucking actually type it in. The college fix. collegefix.com. Oh, it's the whole thing. Okay. /black. I wish it would just autofill. Of course, you gotta type the whole fucking thing in. Please don't leave. Please wait for me to type this in. Okay, thank you for not leaving. Segregated safe spaces. Oh, I know what this is. So what this is, and I'll read it. Basically what this is, as far as I understand it, is that when there is like overt racism that is technically protected under freedom of speech, there was a group of black students that was at a college. That they were at a college, and they were like, if this overt racism is allowed to happen, we should have spaces in which those overt racists can't come in. And then white people are like, well, you want segregation. So in short, he's dumb.
Segregated schools, hospitals right now.
Like, what do you mean,
centers.
like, just to have, like, a space where, like, kind of like, oh, you know how there's, like, African-American clubs?
Yeah.
Like, do you mean that, or do you mean...
No, I mean they want separate areas of hospitals and sometimes separate schools. They would, like, if you look at Black Lives Matter, they're demanding
But that's happening
segregation.
now, though.
Citation me? Black Lives Matter has never called for that.
We have, like, that problem is we have inner city schools that are, like, 90% African-American.
Right, but they mean by design to actually exclude as a matter of policy people who are not people of color. But I don't want to get lost in that point. When I was growing up, this was never something that was being pushed for. We were pushing for unity. We were pushing to kind of all be able to be the same. But if you're a young white American...
Hold on, what'd she say?
Right, but they mean by design to actually exclude...
We have, like, that problem is we have inner city schools that are, like, 90% African-American.
Right, but they mean by design to actually exclude as a matter of policy people who are not people of color. But I don't want to get lost...
Before she could respond, okay, so she showed some iota of understanding of this actual social issue. He has connected it back to Black Lives Matter, so it is relevant to the point, but he moved off of it as quickly as he could once he found out that she had some tiny degree of understanding of like what's actually going on at colleges. That's what he fucking does. He did that with this fucking socialism video where they didn't actually debate socialism. They debated fucking wealth redistribution. He got fucking spanked up and down. It's crazy. And he still uploaded it, which is surprising. But yeah, like he just does. He'll go off the point as quickly as he can. This is completely relevant, but he moved off the point so we can keep talking about something else and get to something that she doesn't understand anything about again.
Lost in that point. When I was growing up, this was never something that was being pushed for. We were pushing for unity. We were pushing to kind of all be able to be the same. But if you're a young white American right now, and you see $600 million in property damage, and you go, why is that happening? Black Lives Matter. And you see 18 plus people killed, and you go, why is that happening? And they go, Black Lives Matter. And you see an incredibly high violent crime rate. You're seeing it here in Austin. You're seeing it in New York. And you go, why is that happening? And they go, Black Lives Matter. And you're seeing the idea of complete abolition of the police. And you have a lot of friends who are firefighters, and you know the police in your neighborhood. You go, why is that happening? And they go, Black Lives Matter. I'm worried that at a certain point you're going to get young white Americans now, as opposed
Who don't like us.
who go,
Yeah.
oh, so all of this crap that I don't think is representative of anyone from our point of view. They're gonna go, oh, that's what black
If
people think,
anything,
and it'll create racism.
I feel like, if anything, I remember when I was looking at Minnesota.
So there's a okay. So he does this thing in a debate that's different from something like Louder with Crowder, you know, some shit that he does like as like with his other conservative buddies, and where they're just he fails at comedy and he's just wrong about stuff. Where in Louder with Crowder he has said things like this is you know, Black Lives Matter. They are a representative of the people, and that's awful because it's unfortunate that black people want this, that black people are in favor of racism, black people are in favor of murder, black people are in favor of abolition of the police. That last one's probably kind of true. A lot of black people probably are in favor of abolition of the police, but I think that's mainly because it's just a lack of understanding of the socioeconomic factors that would result from that. But and then right here he's, oh well, that's not, I don't think that is what you believe. That's not what you know, we believe, like us together. He creates this divisiveness and to completely divide everyone, like on terms of race, on terms of class, and anyone. Basically, if the founding fathers came back today, they like anyone that they would like. So like white people who are men and landowners. As long as you, and in a sense, I think Crowder would change that to capital. If you are white, you're a dude and you have capital. And I guess one more thing is that if you're conservative, he wants to separate you from every single other person ideologically, and to demonize every other person. It's crazy. He's actually super racist towards Asians, which is weird. I don't know if he's got like raped by an Asian. When he was in fucking Canada. I don't know. But he that was an awful joke. So there's more dishonesty. It's just consistent dishonesty. That's the only thing that's consistent about him, is that he's wrong and that he's dishonest.
Like Minnesota, what was going on there, a lot of the damage wasn't caused by actual black people. I saw a lot of, no offense,
I'm not offended.
white people who were...
I hate white hipsters too. I hate anyone who damage. I don't hate anyone, but I hate the...
Hipsters. He put in hipsters so he could put the left. This is fucking proving my point. Thank you, Steven Crowder. I think you can hear me, as a matter of fact. There's video. But, and also it's not hipsters. It's fucking agent provocateurs, which are basically just police who dress up like protesters and they just provoke. And that's all they do. So it's not fucking white hipsters. It's more than likely a fucking conservative who is like, I don't like this. And there are a lot of kids who are like taking advantage of this. I know someone who had gone to Chicago just to take advantage of the looting. So there are like hipsters and shit. that are doing this, but that's not the people that she's talking about.
Action of damaging anyone else's property or violating someone else's rights, no matter who does it.
Oh, somebody's taking a picture. I don't know why. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, I'm just gonna cover my face until he's done. Is that okay?
How you doing, man?
I don't know who he is.
Wait,
sorry.
what?
Someone else's rights, no matter who does it.
Oh, somebody's taking a picture. I don't know why. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, I'm just gonna cover my face until he's done. Is that okay?
How you doing, man?
I don't know who he is. Sorry.
She's just a little uncomfortable with the picture, so.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry. I noticed that there was.
That's the most cartoon dude I've ever fucking seen.
She's just a little uncomfortable with the picture, so.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
Look at this fucking guy. He has no shirt on. He has massive pecs, massive arms. This guy looks like General Ross in the Edward Norton Hulk movie.
I noticed that there was a lot of
That shit's funny.
Sorry, again, white people who were.
He's a little bit of a weird dude.
So
He's got the HGH cut going on.
Yes. I noticed there's a lot of white people who were the ones doing the damage, at least in Minnesota.
Some areas, yeah.
And I found that very not problematic, but you know, especially if you're gonna say what you're doing is for black people, and you're doing something that they might not agree with. Like, I remember the George Floyd family, they said they did not approve of the looting and the rioting on TV, right? And so here's a black person who's saying, hey, I find this very problematic, and then you have people who are not even the race or the group that you're fighting for, and you now it's associated with us. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that being said, a majority of a lot of this crime being carried out across the city is Black Lives Matter activists, and there are a lot of black people.
I do want to say something about that.
People who are not even the race or the group that you're fighting for, and you now it's associated with us.
So I've talked about this recently, where there's a difference between advocating for black people and then being offended on behalf of black people. So you can advocate for black people and you can advocate for policies, even if some black people don't advocate for those policies. And that is completely valid. And then there's another situation where you're offended on behalf of black people. I'm not personally offended by racism. I think it's awful and I think we should fix it, but I'm not personally offended by it. I'm not offended on behalf of anyone. I think what she's referring to and what she doesn't like is that people will be offended on behalf of black people and go out and do stuff in the name of Black Lives Matter, and that gives them a bad name. I agree that's fucked up, and I don't think people should be offended on behalf of others. I think that if you want to advocate for, you know, black people's general well-being in this country, and you want to advocate for them in the sense of like policy, then stand with your black friends, stand with people who have experienced this stuff firsthand, so that you don't go overboard. Because it's very easy to not recognize like how it has affected people, and then completely overstate it or completely overreact to something when you have no idea how to react because you've never experienced it. And white privilege has shielded a lot of white people from that.
You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that being said, a majority of a lot of this crime being carried out across the city is Black Lives Matter activists, and there are a lot of black people and white people, so I wouldn't say it's exclusively white people, but it is being inspired by the movement and the leadership of Black.
I find it weird that he got super fucking offended because she didn't say it was only black. She didn't say it was only white people. She's like, I see a lot of white people doing it, and he's just like, it's not only white people, okay?
Matter and Antifa. And that's where I have a problem. I have a problem with a white person burning down a Walgreens just as much as I have a problem with someone shooting a police. Actually, I have more of a problem with someone shooting an off-duty police officer, obviously, because they're literally harming someone. But I have just as much of a problem with someone blocking a police car in protest in the road as I do somebody setting a fire truck ablaze. You know, a lot of people don't realize this. When you block a police car, you block the fire department.
That's true.
And that happened in, I believe it was Minneapolis, where there was a woman and her child in a house. And what happened? The Black Lives Matter.
Hold on. It's okay. That's not even fucking true. When you block a police car, you block a fire engine. That's not fucking true. That's literally not true. Like factually, like a fire engine is not a police car.
Matter activists blocked the police car that was trying to pave the way for the fire truck. But what do you think? Do you think that breeds more?
Oh, in that situation, okay.
Let's say you're a white guy in your house, or you could be a black guy, but let's say it's a white person in their house, and their wife and daughter is stuck in there, and you can see the fire department off in the distance, but you know that they can't get to saving your wife and daughter in the house because Black Lives Matter activists and Antifa who hate the cops are blocking the cops. What does that do? That forces that man to be violent.
So a fantastic example of anecdotal evidence, or in anecdote itself, just to kind of demonstrate this sort of pathetic rhetoric. Pathetic in like the literal sense, not the connotative sense. Like pathetic as in using pathos. He is trying so hard to like tug on your heartstrings to make you feel for that, like a family man who didn't do anything wrong, and all this stuff. It has nothing to do with the argument whatsoever. I mean, if you block a police car, are you a terrorist organization? Like, and if he agrees with that, I mean, like, that's stupid. But like, it's completely tangential. It's to the side. It is a non sequitur. and yet he's using this pathos to try to make her agree with him.
Defend his family.
Unjustifiably.
None of this is helpful, right? This isn't a peaceful protest. I mean, you look at Austin. This doesn't look like. If you walk down 6th Street, this is not the result of a peaceful protest here in this town. And it makes me sad. It really does make me sad. Here's what I would say.
More people. Sorry, I just noticed there's a lot of people.
There are a lot of people. Literally a lot more people. If you're uncomfortable, you don't have to stick around. I understand.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, but yeah. So I guess I'm not fully like I understand your points. I appreciate you for stating your opinion and everything. I guess it's just so hard for me to accept the statements.
Yeah.
So.
Could I ask you a favor? Small favor, because you made some really good points here. I would just, the only thing I would ask, and I always ask people when they are able to sit down reasonably and have, I think this has been a pretty respectful discussion across the board. The first thing you said when you sat down was you talked about how you were raised in a culture where you always had families, and I assume that you said in a culture, so most of your friends probably had families as well. That is so important. If we're going to talk about how to fix this problem, it's not about dumping money into schools, it's not about defunding the police, it's not about abolishing.
Whoa! Let's let him finish.
Across all communities, having more families, like the one that you seem.
No, fucking no. First of all, if you fund schools more, it's going to be so much more conducive to slowing down crime. Lower education is a higher leading factor in your proclivity to actually commit crime than a single-parent household. Albeit a single-parent household is a factor. Now, defunding the police, making it so that they don't have the resources to completely over-police an area, 100% will stop the whole cycle of black people going to jail for like no fucking reason. 100%. Fun fact, I think 30% from the 90s until now, the police's overall over all police departments across the nation, police department funding has gone up about 30% since the mid 90s. Crime has stayed pretty much completely stagnant since then. So there is no reason to increase funding in the police. All it does is increase arrest rates, but over crimes that are reported it stays exactly the same. It increases arrest rates, and of an overwhelming majority of those arrest rates are black people. There's so much to like dive into in like the idea of systemic racism that. And I wish the systemic racism video had a more argumentative person, because I disagreed with both of them the whole fucking time.
I've been raised with. You did a great job with you.
Thank you.
Make sure you have that conversation with everyone, because that's something that is unifying, and hopefully everyone can be on board with, as opposed to divisive and burning down buildings. Because I think that's where it starts. That's where the change starts.
Okay.
I really do appreciate it.
That's where it starts.
Thank you, Alana. Air bump. I appreciate it. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, Alana. Now remember, if you want these conversations to continue, please do consider joining up at louderwithcreditor.com/mugclub. You get this wonderful hand-etched and painted mug.
You know what? I'm gonna look something up. How to find out where the next Change My Mind Steven Crowder will be. Don't let Steven Crowder change your mind. That's true. If you ever let him change your mind, you will be more wrong than a lot of people, because he's wrong. Yeah, I don't think that you can find this, unfortunately. Update on Twitter. What's up? Follow me on Twitter, by the way. Look at him.
there have been some rumors out there that we lied.
He looks kind of retarded.
There have been some changes to YouTube, to the blacklisting. Just to let you guys.
Oh, I don't give a shit. This has nothing to do with it.
Tons of exclusive content, and it's what allows us to continue to go out and make content like this, the kind of content that you can never see on cable news by design. But back to business. Next up is a gentleman known as King.
There we go. Can we do that? All right. Okay. What's your name, sir?
My name's King.
He is a king. I love his.
King, like a royalty. Okay.
I love his piercings.
Okay. See, I don't know if we're going to see. No, it could confuse me. So I don't know.
Crowder hates him. Crowder thinks he shouldn't get a job because of him.
Make the cut. It's okay. I was trying to break. That's what we call a little breaking the ice. Didn't work. I don't know how familiar you are, if at all, with the Change My Mind segments. But kind of let me fill you in a little bit on what it is that we do. That's okay. You can knock it. Just don't steal it. I asked. Someone tried to do that once.
Yeah, man, that's why I came here to steal the mic.
To steal the mic? Yeah.
I need a mic for my studio, yo. All right,
I wouldn't steal this one. It's pretty crappy.
All right, no, ain't gonna work.
It's been upgraded since. I think our sound guy actually has some really good mics. I'll give you his home address. The media are very, very partisan, bombastic, and try and sit down and hopefully have a rational discussion where we rationalize our own positions on controversial topics. Obviously, right now, as you well know, here in Austin, the Black Lives Matter riots have evolved. It's been really tough on this town. I didn't know until I came here. I very much think that Black Lives Matter is a domestic terror organization. If you disagree with me, you're more than welcome to change your mind, or if you have any questions.
Well, I know I can't change your mind.
He was actually interested in conversation that would help. He would both say the next location of Change Your Mind as well as give the topic so people can come prepared. Fun fact, he was supposed to get into a debate with a guy named Sam Cedar. Him and another leftist and another conservative, and it was going to be like a four-way debate panel. And he agreed to it, and then he called his father, who is his manager, and then he backed out. And then a cold feet crowder was a big thing within the Sam Cedar community. And it is suspected, because Sam Cedar is so much better at debate than this guy and understands so much more about social issues and the economy and facts. It is suspected that his dad was just like, "You're gonna get blown the fuck out. You shouldn't do that." And he's ducked out on multiple people for debates, and so I think that that's exactly why he won't tell anyone where his next change of minds will be. His producer pre-interviews people that show up on his change of mind and selectively brings on those onlookers. I believe you. I happened to see that that wasn't the case in the genders one, which might have been the dumbest one I've seen of his. But yeah, he does not talk to people who had not been vetted by his producer. He makes sure they are not informed. Yeah, well, he's dishonest, so that makes sense.
You don't know that.
If you're saying it's a domestic terrorist,
There's been callers to MR that said how it works. Yeah, I fucking believe it. He's dishonest as shit.
Organization, which is in charge of obviously inspiring and spurring these protests.
the ones that teamed up with Fubu and stuff like that, or
I don't know which companies they've teamed up with, but I take it specifically from their website, their charter, what they demand, what it is they're looking for, and of course where the
can
funding
you
is coming
explain to me why they are? Okay, yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
So here, let me. So I don't know where you line up on. I think it's important to delineate here between.
Also, I don't know if I said this already, but like none of these demands are indicative of anything domestically terrorist at all. Nothing
saying
whatsoever.
Black Lives Matter, which I think everyone's on board with.
That's what I'm about. Is saying like,
Okay, saying Black Lives Matter, just like saying don't get puppies, right? It's like everyone says, okay, that's great, but then we do have to get down
Okay, so that's not the point.
to.
but what about dogs?
I don't want to kick dogs either. Don't kick dogs. Don't
What
get
about
cats.
cats?
I don't get cats.
Do
You see the point?
get ones? Yeah.
I don't really get what you're saying, but my point is with the Black Lives Matter organization, right? There is an organization, there is a charter, there are official demands that have been listed, and they're going about that with these protests that evolved into riots that have caused $600 million in property damage, anywhere from 12 to 20 plus people who've been killed at these riots, 900 officer casualties, 14,000 arrests. And
Okay, I have 10 people in my chat right now, and I just wanted to let you know that that 900 officer casualties, that is the total amount of officers who have died on the job since the year 2000. I looked it up, and he's fucking stupid, and he's so dumb and so dishonest. So don't let the 900 number fool you. The 600 million in property damage, I'll believe it, but I don't really give a shit about it.
And these are the demands from the Black Lives Matter organization that, I just not only do I not agree with, I think.
I do know that. I'm okay, and they are mainly on federal buildings. In which case, I am actually in favor of things like that. I'm in favor of the rioting and the destruction of property when it comes to the oppressors. If you are directing that at the correct places of the oppressors. Worst case scenario, there's been a few looters who have used the protests for their own interests. I agree, and I actually mentioned that a little bit earlier.
They're actually harmful to the black community, and using intimidation and riots as a matter of achieving them. That makes them, in my book, domestic terror organization.
All right, so let's talk. So a domestic terror organization. I just want to make sure that there's not different meanings for terrorism or anything like that. But you say domestic? Are you saying their alignment with ISIS and?
No.
KKK?
No, domestic means within the United States.
Okay, so about the KKK, they're aligned with the KKK.
No, they're not aligned with the KKK, but the KKK could be a domestic terror organization. Domestic just means here in America.
Okay, so do you agree that the KKK is a domestic?
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
Okay. Now, why do you think that the KKK is a domestic terrorist organization?
Well, obviously they're not nearly as big in scope right now as Antifa or Black Lives Matter, but anytime.
Antifa's a group?
Yeah.
I don't think they are.
Well, actually, I have a list right here of demands from Antifa, joint actions with Black Lives Matter, for example, in Seattle and Shop.
Antifa's a thought because if that's the case, then I'm anti-fascist.
Well,
Holy shit, this guy actually knows what the fuck he's talking about. Oh my god, I'm excited.
but Black Lives Matter is a thought. But there's an organization, Black Lives Matter, that has an organization. No, Black Lives Matter is a phrase, but there's also an organization, right? Same thing with Antifa. You do have different cells.
Nope.
They do have centralized demands.
No, they don't.
Which they unify with Black
No,
Lives
they
Matter.
don't.
So, let me say, yeah, KKK, why would they be a terrorist?
The only demand for Antifa is don't do fascism. That's all it is. If there are people who are claiming to be part of an organization called Antifa, if someone like bought a web domain, antifa.com, that is not the organization. If you are against fascism, you are Antifa. That is just how it is.
Organization. Why would ISIS? Why would any of these types of people? So that would be, terrorism is using intimidation, force, or violence in order to achieve an ideological, political end, right? And that's what we see with Black Lives Matter, just like the KKK. So, no, I appreciate your comparison.
No, it's not. I'm trying to understand. So before, because honestly, I'm changing up the segment right now. So what I'm doing right now is
you can talk with me.
Instead of me changing his mind, I want him to change my mind. Because think about it, the Black Lives Matter organization is a terrorist domestic organization group. That is far-fetched. So to be part of the mass and say that it's not, I want the person that has a far-fetched thought to convince me.
Okay.
There's no convincing on my part.
So let me can I pause you there? Can I ask you something?
So the burden of proof is on him, but whatever. I can bet you there were people. I can bet you there were people there who deceived the producer and acted dumb. Yeah, I'm glad that this fucking dude did it.
I think the idea of complete.
Yeah, I was saying that earlier. The whole conversation. I guarantee that if I found him and I fucking blew his back out in a debate, he wouldn't put it on YouTube. It's just that simple.
Disrupting the Western nuclear family is a radical thought. I think that's more far-fetched than my response to it. I think it's more far-fetched than my response saying, no, don't completely abolish the police to Black Lives Matter. I think it's more far-fetched than me saying, no, we shouldn't completely eliminate the nuclear American family.
Do you believe in defunding APD? No, I'm sorry, APD, also police. But defunding police?
The issue is what Black Lives Matter demands. So I want to share with that. I think that is very far-fetched. And by the way, the majority of Americans, including Black Americans, do too. So
why are you fucking avoiding this so hard?
It's not like I'm some minority. The idea of completely.
Do you think that it's a bad idea to abolish the police? So I think. Yes, it fucking is. It's about change your mind. That's the name of the fucking segment.
Abolishing the police is a radical idea.
Yeah,
I am saying.
Yeah, and it's going to be, so here's the thing.
So do you support that?
Oh, yeah, of course I do.
Completely abolishing the police?
Yeah, of course, why not?
Abolishing prisons?
I'm not too sure on that. I'm not going to answer
That's
that.
different. That's a completely different thing.
I never said I was with Black Lives Matter.
Oh, okay. All right, well, you said it was a far-fetched.
No, abolishing the police is not fucking abolishing prisons. That's not what they believe. Don't point to abolish the police and say that's what they mean.
It's a terror organization.
Yeah.
This charter to me, and the tax reads as a far-fetched, to use your term, terror organization. So it does matter.
Let's talk about abolishing the police.
Okay. Complete abolition.
Complete abolition. How did policing start in the South? You know?
Holy shit, he actually knows what the fuck he's talking about.
Complete abolition of the police.
But don't you think that was a radical idea back in the day to capture slaves, to do stuff like that? Don't you think that was kind of radical?
I think slavery was a radical idea. That was a horrible idea, and I'm really grateful to be about it.
No, it wasn't. Holy shit. Did you either of these people know what the fuck radical means? Because no, slavery was not a radical idea. And catching slaves and targeting like escaped slaves, not a radical idea back then. It was completely normal. Fucked up, normal. Difference.
So that we don't have slavery, we don't have Jim Crow laws, that we had the Voting Civil Rights Act. What I'm talking about right now is complete abolition of the police.
So what I'm saying is though, and this is why I'm bringing it up, the reason why we have these extremes, let's be honest.
Police are extreme, that's an extreme idea.
Extreme ideologies right here.
Okay.
The reason why we have extremes, let's be honest, as a Black person, I'm not going to see the abolition of police in my lifetime. Let's just be honest.
That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
So when we try to ask for voting rights like back in the day, which should have been given when the 13th Amendment got passed.
Absolutely.
But then, it's kind of funny because Malcolm X said something. He goes, if we were equal, there wouldn't be any more additional laws to be passed. There wouldn't be no civil rights. So they're asking civil things to be equal, to get rid of segregation, right?
Well, no, Black Lives Matter wants more segregation, but continue.
I'm talking back in the day. I'm tying up with this, right? So to ask all that stuff, like for the fact that we had to ask after the 13th Amendment, after we said we're equal, we had to go and ask. That makes you think. Damn, are we really equal? I was speaking to Savannah, and she's saying that we are equal. I said, I'm thinking, are you duped or are you duping me? Because how can we be equal if we needed if we needed a civil rights movement? So
no, hold on a second.
But I want to
hold on, because you're jumping around. You're not answering my question. But I will address that one. In 2020, yeah, I would maintain whoever you were talking with, Savannah. You said.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, of course, if we have equal rights in 2020, and I don't see how abolishing the police would.
Ooh, it depends. Ooh, it depends. Technically, enshrined in law, yes, but it was enshrined in law back in the 13th Amendment, and then they were like, well, we're just going to discriminate against them. They're not actually people, and then they had to pass another law. That's kind of his point. He's making a really good point about it. But as of today, are we equal specifically in the law? No. Are there gray areas? Right, so yes. Are there gray areas in which people are allowed to enact on their racism in positions of power? Yes. Fun fact: there are multiple countries there are multiple cities in this country in which you are anywhere between 26 to 37 times more likely. That is 200 or 2,600% to 3,700% more likely as a minority, specifically a Black person, to be stopped by the police without it leading to a citation, an arrest, or a warning. Another side fun fact that goes on top of that, these insanely massive disparities completely disappear or almost completely disappear when it's nighttime, when it's harder for the police to understand or to know what the race of a driver is or someone in a hoodie. These go away. Whether or not police realize they're doing it, there are gray areas that allow them to operate in that sense. And that is, in that sense, no. Black people are not equal to white people.
Anyway, make Black Americans more equal to white Americans, considering it would harm them most.
So I'm gonna tell you a secret. That's in the Black community, right?
Okay, tell me.
Abolishing police ain't gonna happen.
It's still an illicit demands.
It's not gonna happen.
Well, I have a problem with it.
You know what I'm saying? You wanna know why? Because doesn't go our way. We have to say completely abolish the police in order to get them defunded so we make our community safer. That's what we have to do. That's what we have to say. We have to say completely abolish the police.
That's a weird argument.
So when you said you supported completely abolish the police, that's just a negotiating tactic?
No, I really do believe wholeheartedly we shouldn't abolish the police. Okay. Yeah, but that's not going to happen. Let's be real. There's just so much power.
Let me ask you this: since we're completely off the idea of it being a terrorist organization and $500 million in property damage, why do you believe in abolishing the police? How would that help?
God damn, these fucking tiny little jabs. Stupid.
There's a lot of things. You can start investing in different organizations in mental health. Establish another department. There's a lot of things to be honest with you. I don't have to answer. Let me tell you why.
Well, you do if you're sending out a far-fetched idea.
Establish another department. There's a lot of things to be honest with you.
Help Black Americans.
There's a lot of things. You can start investing in different organizations in mental health. Establish another department. There's a lot of things to be honest with you. I don't have to answer.
Mental health. First of all, you just gave me an example. Mental health. Take the diverted funds away from the police and put it into mental health. There are so many fucking things that the police do that they are not trained to do. That they're trained to handle with force, and yet they can't handle it. Put that funding somewhere else so that the people who are actually able to handle it can handle it. It leads to just a more healthy society. Also, when you're making a claim, he just made a claim. When you're making a claim, you do have to answer. You do have to like back that up. If you actually want people to take you seriously, yes, you need to justify your position. He does have a burden of proof, and Crowder is right to point him out. Not factually right, so we're not putting that on the counter. Yeah, he does have a burden of proof.
Well, you do if you're sending out a far-fetched idea, to use your theory.
It's a radical idea, right?
Yeah,
it's a
radical far-fetched idea. How would you replace it?
No, just how slavery is a radical idea, right?
No, it wasn't.
As me, as a American, I'm saying why not? Okay, let's just abolish the police. Let's just see what happens. If it crashes and burns, okay, then it crashes and burns.
But I thought Black Lives Matter.
If it crashes and burns.
There's so much better arguments against the idea of, oh, if it crashes and burns, whatever, then, well, I thought Black Lives Matter. What stupid fucking gotcha.
Many black people will be killed.
There's nothing to do with the point.
So? Yeah, far more black people will be killed if you abolish the police.
But we're not being killed right now by the police.
What's the number one cause of death for young black Americans?
Can you tell me that? Am I sure the diabetes?
No.
What is it?
It's homicide. It's not even close.
Yeah, homicide.
Yeah, homicide.
Black crime.
Black crime.
I spelled that wrong. Ha! 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 Four's pretty high, but that was he just lied. What is this? CDC? I trusted CDC. Heart disease. Dumb shit, dude. Fuck him.
It's not even close. And by the way, if we're talking about Black Lives Matter, and that is the number one cause of death of young black Americans. And the vast majority of black Americans don't want...
Oh, young black Americans. That might be different. Okay. Is there an age limit on this? Is there like a... No? Okay. Well, I'm sure if you look at homicide statistics, you'll probably find murder to be the number one. I don't know if that's true either. Black residents. Diseases of the heart. Okay, these are black. I'm not going to find the statistics. Oh. Is that it? Gallup poll? American State Policing? No, that's not it.
You were talking about the vast majority of Americans, black Americans, don't want to abolish the police.
Where are you getting that from? InfoWars? Where are you getting that from?
No, I'm not getting from InfoWars, but we can bring the statistics out here.
I know.
Do you doubt the idea that homicide is the number one cause of death for young black Americans?
I'm not doubting anything. No,
okay.
But
well, let's just
doubt it.
If you don't agree with what I say, then maybe
press X to doubt.
Why? Because that way we can both rationalize our position rather than just saying, well, I don't trust you. It's the number one cause of death. And if you take away the police, right, and you abolish prisons, which is on this list of demands as well, and if you deconstruct the idea of the nuclear family, which is again a list, that's the most difficult. That's the worst to me when you look at Black Lives Matter and their demands. You will harm black Americans.
That's because you're dumb. Because either you don't know what a nuclear family is, which you do, or you're just being a piece of shit and you're being completely dishonest and taking advantage of people's ignorance on classically conservative terms. So, fuck you.
The most. Because they're not being off in record numbers by cops. As a matter of fact, black Americans are not killed more than white Americans by cops. They're killed less. But they are killed by other fellow black Americans in record numbers. You're talking about 37 times the national homicide rate.
Is he going to point it out?
Justice study. You're talking about 10 times the rate of committing violent crime.
He's not going to point it out. That's unfortunate. Okay, so yes, in raw numbers, white people are killed more by the police per year than black people. However, because there are so many more white people, that happens. If you take the percentages, the per capita numbers, which are the most important numbers, if you take the per capita numbers of black and white Americans killed by the police, you happen to see a major disparity to a point of 2.53% more likely times, not percent. God damn, bro. I need to talk. More likely to get killed than white people. So for every white person that gets killed by a cop, per capita, there's 2.53 black people who get killed by a cop.
And other Americans right now, and I don't think that's because, or would be improved by defunding or abolishing the police. Okay. So how would it help?
Not per capita? Did I use the wrong term? No, per capita is percentage. That's what it is.
I was waiting for you to finish because everything you're saying I don't agree with. So
what's the number one killer against black Americans?
No, it could be homicide. That's fine.
So you
but
disagree with
here's what I'm saying. No, everything you said after that and trying to justify that, I don't. So let's say this.
Okay, so how about you rationalize your position? How would abolishing the police help with the number one cause of death of young black Americans being homicide?
Yes. Do you believe that the police brutalize and kill black people disproportionately compared to white people?
Statistically, that's not a reality, no.
Disproportionately.
He just lied. He lied. He lied.
Do you have those statistics? And kill black people disproportionately compared to white people?
Statistically, that's not a reality, no.
Disproportionately? No. No?
You're wrong.
Do you have those statistics? Can we see?
But Crowder doesn't care about facts. He cares about his feelings. He feels like black people are just worse. Well, Crowder, unfortunately, facts don't care about your feelings.
I do. I feel like Trump when he had that interview with that dude on Fox. He's like, all right, bring the statistics. He's like, bring stats.
Yeah. So how many unarmed black men were killed by police last year?
I don't know.
9. How many white guys?
I don't know.
19. What percentage of America do black people make up?
Last time I checked.
There's like 3.5 times more white people than black people. And you're going to say that 2 times the amount of people getting killed means that all of a sudden there's no racial disparity, or if there is, it's against whites?
There's like 13%?
About 13%, 12, 13%. What percentage of homicides?
No, I'm not talking about
53. What percentage?
He did the 50, he did the 1350, he fucking did it.
I'm not talking about
60.
Hold on, I'm not talking. Let's just talk about the police.
No, but this is. No, I'm getting the police. What percentage of people were black who were killed by police?
I want to say this real quick.
25%.
Okay, so what you're saying is, if we get rid of police, black people will get harmed in that at the end. But we're already,
particularly black women and children.
Okay, but we're already getting murdered by each other. So what are the police doing to solve that?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to get at. So let's get back. Let's get back to
Well,
this.
they do put them in jail. They do arrest people, and if you remove those consequences, do you think there would be less crime?
They arrest them disproportionately. And also, yes, when you remove police from a scenario, generally crime does not change whatsoever.
United States?
No, there's no.
Do you think the homicide rate would go down?
What you're bringing up to me right now is another conversation that I need to have in the black community.
Yes, he does sound offensive. He has these bullshit statistics that this guy doesn't know off the top of his head. So now he's just trying to like get to the point, right? He's trying to get to his own point, but Crowder is just hammering in these statistics to try to stay on track with what he wants. He's panicking.
That hey, there's some homicide going on that we need to fix because we have some internal problems that were brought onto us because of this country.
How do we fix it?
So
let's be productive. How do we fix it?
I want to talk about. What I want to talk about. You brought these out, and I want to see these.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that policing, have they ever prevented a murder, a black crime murder, or a black on black murder?
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a weak point.
You can arrest them.
Okay, I wouldn't have the stats on exactly how many black murders have been stopped by police officers, but you could certainly cross-reference the amount of calls to the police for, let's say, an armed robbery or a violent assault that was stopped by police officers. I would imagine it's in the thousands.
Okay.
Was that reasonable? I don't know the stats. Would that be reasonable?
I was being honest. So.
No, but I'm saying, is that a reasonable answer? Like, I don't have the exact number, but you would probably cross-reference how many 911 calls of a violent crime in action and how many times the police stopped or saved people.
Sure, that's that. That's
so I don't have the
Well,
number.
I'm glad you understand statistics and data a little bit better than a random dude. I'm glad you did that, Crowder. I'm glad you figured it out.
Do you agree? So let's okay. So I want to talk about police quick, then I want to get back to the terrorists because I know that's what you're here for.
Sure, no,
yeah, I'm sorry, I do apologize.
No, I appreciate you sitting down and being respectful.
Do you believe?
I like your tattoo too.
Oh yeah,
Kanye.
Oh, he's around for a while.
Hell no.
Okay, good. All right.
Not, yeah.
You don't have to agree with someone 100%, but
exactly. Yeah, exactly. No. Yeah.
Wait, what did you say?
Do you regret that now? You sitting down and being respectful.
Do you believe?
I like your tattoo too.
Oh yeah, the
Kanye
Kanye tattoo.
Do you regret that now with him being a little?
Hell no.
Okay, good.
Absolutely
all right.
not. Yeah.
You don't have to agree with someone 100%, but like
exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, yeah. So, I forgot my question. Let me get it. It was about, do you believe that the police should have more accountability?
Yes. Yeah, I have a big problem, so I've talked about this with police unions, just like I have a problem with teachers unions. I do believe that there does need to be some...
Okay, but you have a problem with unions for a different reason. You have a problem with unions because you don't like the working class and you want to make it so that they can be paid less. I have a problem with police unions because they protect murderers. I have a problem with teachers unions because generally they state the importance of benefits and they understate the importance of pay, and that's why teachers are paid so shit. We have very different reasons for why we dislike teachers, specific unions. I want to reform some unions and abolish others. You want to get rid of unions because you hate lower class people.
And I do believe that it needs to be easier to expel bad police officers.
How do we do that?
I think there are a couple of things that we can do that should be some common ground approaches, and that's why I have such a problem with the Black Lives Matter.
If I'm too loud, tell
because
me.
The common ground approaches that we could start with, for example, dissolving police unions, or at least lessening their control to a degree, or at least even changing the hard check rules that we have. I think that we could have more accountability. I don't think that we should do away entirely with the immunity of police officers, but I do think that we need higher accountability and an ability to get rid of police officers, to have a centralized database so that police officers who've committed infractions can't just move from county to county. These are things that we can start with.
Great. He's right about thing number 2. One video he's been right more times than the rest of all of these videos. It's crazy. He's breaking the streak. It's fascinating.
These are the kinds of suggestions that have been shouted down by Black Lives Matter founders and activists.
No! Black Lives Matter has never said, let's keep police unions. Black Lives Matter has never said, let cops jump around from station to station. He just lied.
So here's the thing. Okay, this
but that was reasonable. I mean, I'm not saying no changes.
Yeah, no, so sure, but I have a question. It's just
This really makes me want to debate, like, a lot. And I wish I could find someone to debate, but no one wants to debate.
Yes or no?
On stream,
you
at
have
least.
privilege?
Well, I have a mom and a dad, and I was raised in a family who loved me. I think it's a huge privilege.
White privilege.
Why do you assume that that's white privilege, having a mom and a
No,
dad?
I'm asking.
No, it's a question, Crowder.
White privilege.
I don't know what that means.
Okay. So here's what you can do. Instead of, I think, to be honest with you, debating with people about changing your mind.
No, just don't walk out on this, man, because this is not going to be a good way to go. With an argument, you go to the white privilege card.
Hold on, wait, hold on.
It's not a good look.
I'm about to explain. No, I don't care about it. Here's the thing. Let me tell you something real quick. Instead of doing that, talk to your people about what you just told me, and continue that message. Continue, hey.
He didn't convince you, did he? Because he's wrong. That's
I don't care about
unfortunate.
that. You can say, hey, look, Black Lives Matter, I don't agree with y'all, but here's the thing, we can have more account. Everything you told me is gold, and I believe we hit all angles of oppressing black people. If you hit the angle, you come on my side and say, yeah, they do need more accountability. We can start getting things down, but if we see nobody not doing anything, we have to say abolish the police. In order for you to speak up and say something like that. I think it's that radical, like, no, abolish police, no, but here it is, because let's be honest.
Well, no, listen, that may be the way that you feel, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate it as a negotiating tactic or whatever you believe. But when you have the mayor of Minneapolis saying, I support defunding the police, and lays out a list, and they go, no, complete abolition of the police, shout him down and chain him out.
Yeah.
That's not helpful. That's not productive. And I do have these conversations with my people. I do have a conversation with millions of people every month where I've talked about these ideas. And I'm having a conversation with you right now. Unfortunately, I see Black Lives Matter and black leadership not having conversations about what will truly help the lives of people in the black community.
No, there is.
And as a matter of fact, the idea of disrupting and deconstructing.
I actually talked to my mom about this the other day, where she was saying, like, she's very bothered by what's going on in Chicago right now, and she was pointing out that, like, why don't Black Lives Matter leaders go and try to meet with people? You know, like, okay, we have your attention. All eyes are on us. Let's try to talk with them and, like, negotiate. And the thing is, when you've tried to talk with people for so long, when you've been denied meetings consistently, when even when you've been accepted at meetings and they just ignore you and they vote against your best interest and they do all this shit, all while black people are getting killed or targeted, getting thrown in prison for things they either didn't do or for longer than they should. At a certain point, you got to say, we've been talking about this for a fucking minute. We've been trying to tell you about it, but now we had to do $600 million in property damage for you to go, oh, you're also people. And policy starts changing. So why don't you tell me what you think works? Decades of trying to do the same shit over and over again, or a coordinated effort across the entire country to do something that happens to be illegal and then it actually makes policy change within less than 3 months? Like I said, I don't necessarily agree with the looting, but there's 100% utility in it. Without question, there's utility in that.
The Western nuclear family would do irreparable harm to the black community.
So, can I have a quick?
Yeah, sure, you can take this.
I can take it. So I want to learn more about
So
that.
this is one thing that I think is really
Yeah, he's gonna read it and he's gonna fucking kick himself. He's gonna be like, God damn it, I should have known what the fucking nuclear family was, because I could have shit on him.
important. So, because unfortunately you do have racists out there. I'm not disacknowledging racists, and I think you have racists across the board. When I look at the numbers, for example, at 10 times the violent crime rate from black Americans, or I look at 37 times likely to commit homicide, that it's the number one killer of black Americans. I don't pull a Nick Cannon and look at it and think it's because of race, where he said melanin is what gives us soul. I look at it and I say, okay, this is the reality statistically. Why is that the case? And it's obviously not because you have more melanin in your skin because I'm white. I don't believe that makes anyone more inherently violent, but it does cross-reference with a problem that we have in the black community that black leadership is not addressing, with 70% raised in fatherless households.
So that is
if you don't have a mom and a dad, you are much more likely to commit violent crime if you're in a community without
how do they have
No. If you have one parent, there's a difference between having one parent and having gay parents. When they call for the abolition of the traditional nuclear family, they're not saying that no one can have a mom and a dad and that's it. They're saying that if a gay couple wants to adopt someone, they fucking can. And Crowder has a problem with that because he's a dumb shit. And that's pretty much all it is. There's pretty much zero justification for stuff like that outside of, hey, look at me. I'm a dumb monkey who doesn't know how to talk.
Why is the reason that they don't have mom and dads? Why do you think that?
Well, a big part of it is the war on poverty and centralized government incentives to actually, for the term baby mama, that actually comes from Lyndon Johnson and model cities and the idea that you actually get more money from the government.
Should we?
Oh my fucking god. Okay. Lyndon Johnson was a piece of shit. Number one. Number two, the welfare state is broken and it should be fixed. Number three, you don't like the fixing of the welfare state, bro. Damn. If it do, I fucking promise that if they could raise taxes on any tax bracket below his tax bracket and only those taxes would be diverted to welfare programs, he would be in favor of it because he's not paying for it. I fucking promise. Because he's awful. He's just an awful person.
We invest money into communities instead of gentrification.
Well, hold on a second. What do you mean? Should we invest more?
Facts.
Yeah,
do you know how much we spend on the war on poverty? Over $20 trillion.
Yeah, the war on an inanimate noun never fucking works.
$23 trillion. So what's the number? What more should we spend on communities, government housing, EBT, food stamps?
Okay, welfare programs are different from actually financially helping underprivileged programs. Or underprivileged communities. Those are two different things.
Social safety nets. If $23 trillion hasn't improved it, it's actually made crime worse. What should we
do? Okay. That's a stretch that it made crime worse. What he's referring to is the fact that the idea that if you are a single mother, you get more money, and also if you have more kids, you get more money. That would encourage you to push away your baby daddy, and make it so that like he can't be in the kid's life, so you are considered a single mother, and then pop out as many babies as you can. And that's the connection he's making. As a direct result, you have more children who grow up in a single parent household, which makes you more predisposed to crime. So that's a fucking stretch already. He's basically making the connection that says any welfare system leads to higher crime in America. That is not true. And a fixed welfare system that is a floor and not a ceiling would definitely help the issue.
Here's the thing. I don't agree with all the food stamps and all that stuff and everything like that, right? Okay. But don't you believe that we should, on those sides of towns, schools, integrating schools again? Because right now, schools are not desegregated, let's be honest.
Well, Black Lives Matter wants segregated schools and hospitals.
And I'm about to get to that, so I want to get to that, but really quick, and there's a reason why. So really quick, what I want to say is this.
I would agree with you. The idea that I don't want segregation by design or policy, I think it's a bad thing.
Let me tell you something. There's a lot of emotion in this movement. There's a reason why that in Minneapolis, the mayor got booed, right? There's a lot of emotion. Yeah. And we're not going to say every move we make is right. We're going to do some things that are wrong. There's points where we should have listened. We're not listening because there's a lot of emotion and we're tired and we're scared. Right. So that's one thing.
Guys, I just want to say I'm overjoyed because I love talking about this shit, and I've been averaging like anywhere between like 6 or 7 viewers all stream, and it makes my heart so full, and I fucking love you guys, and I really appreciate it.
That is very justified because we don't know if we can trust our politicians anymore. I'm over here fighting city council right now to get this $100 million budget. And then there's some things that say, yes, we promised to do that. We're going to look into that. Next thing I'm hearing other talks. So there's a lot of things.
Okay, facts. That goes exactly back to what I was talking about before. The idea that, yes, we're trying to talk to people and it goes completely by the wayside. Once violence happens and it starts working, that like, what the fuck did you think was going to happen? Did you think they were just going to stop and go back to the shit that didn't work?
Black thing. I wouldn't trust politicians any further than I can throw them. With my bad knee, that's not very far.
So, but as a black person, there's really much.
He has a bad knee. I could probably beat him up too.
Can't trust him. So, one thing that we want to talk about segregation, right? That the Black Lives Matter, they want to desegregate. They want to segregate, right? Essentially.
A lot of it, yeah.
A lot of it, yeah.
I mean, you've seen that, right? You've seen those calls.
I need to do more.
I'm gonna turn on my fan. Because it's fucking hot. Oh, it's very warm in my room right now.
But one thing I want to say is this, and I think they're probably following the basis of Malcolm X. He says the reason why that we need to separate because desegregation wasn't even real in the first place. Mm-hmm. If they don't want us in there, they're going to oppress us. So what is the point of trying to integrate if it's going to harm us? We have to segregate. We have to start doing our own thing. And
Malcolm X was right about a lot of things. I think he was wrong about that.
I believe that's why there's an idea of segregation. And to be honest with you, as me, as King, I can see one side or the other. If I believe.
Did you mean as king an individual or
yeah,
as a king?
No, king, okay. King's another.
It gets confusing.
It does get confusing, and I like that. That's what I like to do. I like it. But another thing I want to say is this.
But can I explain to you something too? Do you understand too? Is my concern with that is first off, Yeah, I think we need to address when we say Black Lives Matter, and people get upset if you say, well, why aren't we talking about all Black lives from the #1 cause of death?
We do say all black
No,
lives. I lead the protest. We do say all black.
Well, I don't see these protests addressing the issue of homicide in black communities. I see them going after defunding or abolishing the police, which doesn't even show up.
Yeah, fucking yeah. Duh. You're not appealing to the gangs when you're marching in the streets calling for policy change. You're trying to appeal to the things that you actually have a voice in. You can't actually vote on this shit. You can't vote on what gangs do within your own poor socioeconomic community, which your ancestors were forced into, by the way, through things like fucking redlining. But, like, fucking duh. Of course you're not going to try to appeal to the gangs. What they're going to be doing in these protests that are trying to change policy, they're going to be focusing on the policy. They're going to be focusing on the politicians. God. Like if you think about this for more than like 5 seconds, it becomes clear. I don't know why he doesn't get it.
What's on the Black Lives Matter, Trevor?
Actually, he probably does get it. He's just a dumbass, and he wants to be a piece of shit.
Up there is, well,
dishonest.
Dismantle cisgender privilege, uplift black. No, this is from the website.
I know,
and it was reiterated from Black Lives Matter, one of the founders there in the New York Times. So these aren't fringe views. This is where I go directly to the source, right? I think that if we're talking about a minuscule amount and a dishonest statistic that black people...
This is such a stretch, by the way. The idea that these extremely mundane demands are make them a terrorist organization, far-fetched as shit.
Killed at a higher level than white people in this country. No, they're not. They make up if you look at police interactions, meaning for violent crimes, black people are actually killed less often, unarmed black people than unarmed white people. And if you...
Yes, because there are more white people, dude. God.
And again, I'm not saying that's because of black. I'm saying it is a problem that needs to be addressed, and you're not addressing it by saying it's the police's fault. I think you need to be addressing.
You're addressing it by saying it's the police's fault. If it's the police's fault, if a cop has 17 complaints over an 18-year career, 2 of which were just open firing into a crowd of minorities, and then the last thing that happens is he kills someone because that guy couldn't play Simon Says well enough, George Floyd, when he posed no threat whatsoever, it's his fucking fault. When a cop pulls someone over with his fiance and his like young daughter in the back who's too young to sit out of a car seat, and then fucking tells him exactly what to do, and this black driver does exactly what the cop tells him to do, and he still dies, that's the fucking cop's fault. And Crowder defended that guy. When someone says, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, 11 times, it's the cop's fault when he kills him, and Crowder defended that guy. He's so dumb. That helps the issue if you point at whose fucking fault it is. Do you think labeling BLM as terrorist will lead to a civil war? It definitely will increase tensions drastically. Yes. Not a civil war, but yeah, 100%. The tensions will increase so much. I think that we will see more problems. I think we will see more policy change. I think once the policy change that they want to happen happens, they'll die down. And then the racists will still be racist. And we can't change it, unfortunately.
By saying we need more fathers in the household instead of saying deconstruct and destroy the central nuclear family. That's the greatest privilege I ever had in my life as a father and a mom.
I just want to ask this real quick. Have you ever seen the documentary 13?
13?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have, no.
Yeah, do you have Netflix?
I do.
I have Netflix and I pay for it. Me and my girl.
It really bothers me because like that guy had said, I don't know if he's still in here or not. The guy had said that they vet the people before they are able to talk with Crowder. And I think this guy played dumb so that he can actually get in front of Crowder. And like what bothers me so much is I have these numbers in my head. Like I know these numbers. I fucking wish that he would just talk to someone who knows the numbers, or he would talk to someone who has the statistics in front of them like he does with all this stuff. And I wish he would talk to someone who like could see the bullshit. Like, fuck.
And that's something I highly recommend you watch it. 13, yeah.
I saw 13 Ghosts. That movie sucked.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's terrible. No, but I want to say this. I think what you're talking about from your... So I said convince me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So...
Although it's changed my mind, but yeah.
Change my mind, whatever. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But no, I can't. If KKK is considered a domestic terrorist organization, I'm not going to say that.
Do you call these riots or protests?
These are protests.
So let me ask you this. $600 million in property damage. You're talking about dozens of deaths. You're talking about 14,000 arrests, 9 casualties.
Across the country? I was under the impression that $600 million across the country. If he's talking about this place, that's a different thing.
Required for you to consider it a riot.
Let me tell you why it's not a riot. And it's simply because of this, and it's white people and property, right? Why are we bringing up? Why did you? And this is just the way that we think, and it's
black people's property.
It's inherently. It's
black people's property.
It's inherently instilled though.
Disproportionately black people's property.
Why is that a concern? Why did you say that first and then lies later?
Well, it was the biggest number. I went through the whole thing. It's not that I listed as a priority. I can restate 14 to 22 people dead, depending on which number you use. 900 officer casualties. I figured I wouldn't leave with officer casualties because we believe in abolishing the police entirely. So I figured addressing the fact that disproportionately black property has been damaged in the black community maybe was something you would care about more. But I guess black property doesn't matter either. So what about David Dorn? You know who that is?
Yeah, I've heard of him. I think, again, my friend.
That's important.
Yeah.
Do you think role models in any community are important?
Oh my God! You gotta go on a fucking tangent every goddamn time. Like he's got to keep doing this to try to delegitimize this guy as much as possible because he's actually making good points.
Because David Dorn was a police officer, a black police officer who served in St. Louis, who served in Missouri his whole life, and he was responding to another fellow black business owner's shop being looted and burned in what you call a protest, I call a riot, and he was shot for a Westinghouse for a television set.
So I'll tell you this.
Black men.
When I take care of my agenda, Black Lives Matter, and all that stuff that I'm doing, I'll be more than happy to address David Dorn, right? David Dorn, right?
David Dorn.
Yeah. But right now he's not top my priority.
Why does his life not matter?
It's not about life does not matter.
God damn! What a fucking straw man.
Nothing wrong. Never committed a crime. Never had a rap sheet. A man who served his community.
This is giving me a headache. Holy shit! This is actually giving me a headache. Why doesn't his life matter? Oh my God! What a fucking straw man.
People in this community who did a lot of good work with his wife in the community to bridge the racial divide. Why does that man bleeding out in the street, shot dead over a TV, not matter? Seems to me that would be a life that matters.
Fucking straw man. Is he crying?
Because there's been a lot of innocent black lives that got taken away.
But you said this isn't a priority. Why? Because this is an example of why it's the #1 homicide rate in the black community.
He didn't say it's not a priority. He said it's not his top priority.
A man was shot over a television set. A good man. Why doesn't that bother you?
There's a lot of people that get shot down. No, it does bother me. It really does. Here's the thing. What happens, it really does bother me. I only got so much energy in the day. You know what I'm saying? Hey, if we want to go ahead and protest about David Dorn, let's do it. I'm about that, right?
We'd be focusing on what actually affects black lives.
We can go ahead and focus on that.
Back on black crime.
But if I'm going to go ahead and protest about that, the people that bring up David Dorn, I want you on my side saying Black Lives Matter.
That guy's a racist, by the way. The guy who just drove by, he is 100% a racist. He's got a big-ass lifted truck, and he honked, and BLM is a fucking terrorist organization. He is definitely a racist.
We say Chauvin in the United States, Derek Chauvin. I think that guy should be charged.
But do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand?
So here's the point.
With manslaughter! There it is.
This doesn't matter because everyone, white, black, listen to me, everyone, yeah, I know, but you asked me a question. Everyone, black, white, yellow, red, was on board. And this is what concerns me. We all saw that tape of George Floyd and thought that it was horrific. Okay? We all agreed with it. Unfortunately, minds have been turned against the cause of not the Black Lives Matter organization. You
know what you did? I fucking promise what you did was you just decided, I'm going to try to think of the most rational way to try to justify why this was okay. And then he couldn't. He couldn't at all. And then the fucking body cam footage came out, and he goes, well, now I can justify it because he was resisting arrest. He wasn't playing Simon Says good enough, so he should have died. This completely vindicates the officers, which he said that, so I don't know why he's calling for the arrest of this guy.
Now this black movement, because of the crime, the death, and then David Dorn.
It's not going to be perfect.
Well, come on, it's as bad as it gets.
No, yeah, but it's not going to be perfect. Hey, America fought in war and done some up stuff, but we fought for the right reasons, right?
So you're saying Black Lives Matter?
No, we didn't. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. Last time we fought for the right reasons was in fucking World War II. That's the last time we fought for the right reasons.
Then it is a terrorist organization.
Let me tell you this.
Is Black Lives Matter at war with the United States?
No, it's not. So here's what I want to say, though.
Okay.
The reason why I'm speaking on David Dorn like that is because there's certain sides, right? And right now, we're having, a debate or something like that.
No, we're having
a conversation, and it's about changing our minds or something like that, or changing your mind, essentially. And I feel like that you're bringing up David Dorn to push that. And I'm saying feel, so let's talk about emotion.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? To neglect. Yeah, no, I felt that earlier.
Better not be hobo piss.
Yeah. No, we're good. No, okay. No. Or any piss, all right? Yeah, hashtag we don't judge. Any piss, no piss at all, all right?
No, but it's just that hobo piss is politically correct. We both would prefer non-hobo piss to hobo piss.
To view someone else, and that's why I'm like this. And that's why I'm like, we can put David Dorn on another side, but come out with me, come and protest, come join my works. My study groups that I do for white allies, just my organization. Come get involved. Show me that I matter.
Well, no, hold on a second. I don't agree with abolishing the police, so I won't come out and march with you. I don't agree with these demands, so I won't come out and march with you.
But we do agree on some things, like defunding the police.
No, I don't agree with what's going on with these protests and the violence.
Do you know some people in the protests don't believe in abolishment?
I know some people don't, but the Black Lives Matter organization does. So in other words, if there's some good members of ISIS who don't believe in killing infidels, that's fine, but I'm still not going to sign up with ISIS.
Okay.
I have a fundamental.
That might be the most retarded thing I've ever seen. I can't say that word on this. Don't ban me, bots, please. That was stupid. That was a stupid thing to say. Now, let's say ISIS was like, let's kill infidels. Okay. And then they go, also, socialism is the way. Actually, let's go for his point. Also, you should keep your capital. Also, poor people should be serfs. Also, we should go back to the feudal system. Also, Chinese people should not be allowed in America. Also, black people should continue to be actually even more oppressed. He probably would join ISIS. I think. I think that if there's one thing out of a ton of shit you agree with that you don't agree with, I think you'd probably go with it, especially if it's something as mundane as abolishing the police. And I do say it's mundane because if you abolish the police in one city, I think that shit's gonna recoup in like a year, probably to a degree. Crime doesn't go down when there's no police. That just doesn't happen ever. So
fundamental problem with Black Lives Matter, the organization. So my point is this: this is how I'm showing that I care having a conversation. I'm not going to link arms with anyone associated with the Black Lives Matter organization.
Nobody's. I'm not
linking arms
associated
with
Black
Muhammad Ali's son.
I'm not linking arms with Black Lives Matter.
MLK, Ben Carson.
I'm not. But I'm not Ben Carson. but I'm not associated.
yeah,
with
Ben Carson's
I'm
fucking
associated with
stupid.
Black Lives Matter movement. I'm sorry, with the sorry, not movement. I apologize. The organization. And we both agree on defunding. So if they see somebody like you, louder, which I believe, or something like that, man,
this is tangential, completely, because and Crowder, I don't know why Crowder's going on this because he's so dishonest, and I'm really surprised that he's letting it go like this. Because if Crowder stuck to the point on this, then he could really like tie it the fuck in, because he's talking about the organization and he's talking about how these demands are indicative of being a terrorist organization. And while he's completely wrong, this guy doesn't seem to be pushing those points. Which, if I was a stupid, dishonest demagogue, I would probably try to push the points that I think he doesn't understand very well, which is what Crowder does all the time. He's pushing the points of like what's a good idea within Black Lives Matter, but Crowder thinks every point that he had just listed is a reasonable indication of them being a terrorist organization. So it's just really weird that he's not pushing this, and it's fucking annoying that they're going so far off topic.
You gotta change people's minds, yo. You have that. You can change people's minds, yo, and say, yo, you march with that person about defunding the police, and I go with you and I do David Dorn. It's all about a collaboration. I love
Instead, I'm trying to change people's minds to have more dads, and you work for an organization that wants less dads.
I don't work for them.
You're so.
Okay, he did go back. He went back. He did what I thought. He was just waiting for the guy to finish the sentence, which is polite. Good on him. But oh my God, he's so intentionally trying to misrepresent what the fucking nuclear family is.
Fundamentally seeks to destroy.
How am I associated with them?
You said Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, that's the organization.
No,
that's the founding
speaking
organization.
Black Lives Matter doesn't
I
matter.
also, and by the way, I did have, I was associated with the. No, hold on a second.
Can we agree that I don't associate Black Lives Matter?
It bothers me so much that no one's challenging that point on the nuclear family, where like you don't want your community to have dads. That's not what that fucking means.
But if there's Black Lives Matter, the label there, I'll have nothing to do with it. Because of this and their charter, and because of the funding and where it goes to, I can't. Now, if you said, I'm king, this is my charter, and we both sat down, we both agreed, and we said, okay, these are fundamental issues on which we can agree, we can find some common ground, I would march with you. But not if it's abolition of the police. No, so why are you dictating how I can serve and change people's minds if it only agrees inherently with your platform?
No, we both agree. We can have a protest about David Dorn, about what I'm trying to show.
No, I will. That's what the stream is for.
Change people's minds if it only agrees inherently with your platform.
No.
Fucking yeah. When it comes to whether or not people are actually, whether or not they're like actually equal in this country, 100%, I'm not going to support you if it's not with my platform. If we're talking about the abolition of slavery and you say, well, they could be 3/5 of a person and they have to work for less, but sure, they can generally have some of the same rights. I'm going to come to a middle ground on that. Black people shouldn't be fucking slaves. Like, of course, I'm not going to go, okay, I'll go with your platform when I don't agree with it. Like, why are you getting mad at that, Crowder? Look at his eyes. Look at him. He looks like a Muppet right now. Fuck him.
We both agree. We can have a protest about David Dorn, about having accountability for the police. What I'm trying to show is right now, you do have some people that follow you.
Yes.
That are, that are on one side of the spectrum. And let's be honest.
You're retarded?
Come on. No. That really don't believe that.
Yes. And also racists.
Black lives don't matter. That really don't believe all that stuff. That really sees me. And
I disagree. I disagree. Here's what I think. No. I think this is the problem. I am telling you that I don't agree with Black Lives Matter. Go ahead and finish.
Yeah. So if they see you coming out and doing that with this, with this person that's not a liberal or a conservative or whatever, but a radical, coming out with me and saying, yeah, we do agree with accountability with the police. We do understand that David Dorn was a tragedy. We do understand that George Floyd was It's getting messed up.
Yeah,
Man, that is freaking dope. That's gonna change the whole game. But until then, I don't have your back. You know what I'm saying?
Why didn't you come out with the Tea Party?
I'm sorry?
Why didn't you come out with the Tea Party?
Because I don't know much about the Tea Party.
And that's the issue there, right? So we had a platform of less government intervention, of less taxation, of less of a deficit that we've been seeing, a growing national debt.
The Tea Party are dumb, and they are not advocating for black people by any means. Black people should not march with the Tea Party. The Tea Party are right-wing libertarians, and they're fucking ridiculous. They believe in the most ridiculous stuff. This stuff.
The issue there, right? So we had a platform of less government intervention, of
Less government intervention. Less government. They're also capitalists. Every time there's been a problem with capitalism in this country that has absolutely fucked up the economy, the government and government intervention is the very reason that the entire economy stayed afloat for this country.
less taxation, of
Less taxation. That's fucking dumb. We need taxes, 100%. It's not less taxation, by the way. The Tea Party calls for basically no taxation. They think it's theft, which is ridiculous because you need taxes. They think that the community will do it.
Why didn't you come out with the Tea Party?
Because I don't know much about the Tea Party.
And that's the issue there, right? So we had a platform of less government intervention, of less taxation, of less of a deficit that we've been seeing, a growing national debt.
Less of a deficit that we've been seeing, and then the fucking candidate that they would 100%, that they do, I'm pretty sure, support, is Donald Trump, who's raised the deficit more than Obama in all 8 years in these 3 years, which, by the way, was a point when Obama was starting, that he raised the national debt like a couple $1 billion more than Bush did. And that was the point of like why Obama was like the worst president ever for conservatives back then. Weird how they don't keep the same fucking energy.
There were plenty of black Americans there. My point is a lot of people didn't show up because they didn't agree. They didn't support limited government candidates. That being said, you know what the main difference was between the Tea Party, which was every bit as big, every bit as many people, members and protesters.
No. The Tea Party doesn't have more members and protesters than BLM. That's a fucking lie.
Was that a question?
Yeah, what do you think the biggest difference is, and why I would be okay speaking at a Tea Party rally and not okay showing up at a Black Lives Matter Associate rally?
Probably because you are a racist, and so you'd advocate for a racist group more than you would want to advocate for a group that's fighting for the rights of black people.
You already explained why you're not showing up.
Dozens dead, hundreds of officers,
but
casualties,
I'm not Black
and 600
Lives
million.
Matter,
But that's what I can't have anything to do with it. You understand? That's the point of view that it doesn't matter. The point of view, if you actually want to change the perception of Black Lives Matter, why aren't you speaking out against the riots? Why would you call them protests when you know that they're riots?
Because right now,
the crime and the property.
I'm gonna be honest with you, right? I'm gonna be honest with you, because right now, they're not a threat to me. They're not a threat to my family.
Sure they are.
But no, they're not.
They absolutely are.
Let me finish. The police, I have nightmares of my brother getting shot by the police. I have nightmares of my sister getting shot by the police. I don't have nightmares of rioters or protesters doing anything to my brother and sister. So if we go based off emotion, I don't care if you call it a riot or a protest. I'm worried about getting police be held accountable and eventually abolishing them. That's why you have. That's why I'm not saying a riot or a protest. If I see something burned down on fire, is my brother and sister out there? Nope.
All you have to do is look at the points that he put forward, which he calls demands, which aren't demands at all. I checked the link that he had, not demands. All you have to do is look at those and say, why does this make it a terrorist organization? Why does dismantling the nuclear family make it a terrorist organization? It's wrong. No. I didn't ask why it was wrong. I asked why it makes them a terrorist organization. Why does abolishing the police make it a terrorist organization? Because it could do material harm and black people will get hurt the most. No. I didn't ask why it was wrong. I asked why it makes it a terrorist organization. Why does this point make it a terrorist organization? You just need to stay on the point with him. With Crowder, that's all you need to fucking do. Stay on the point. So simple.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm being honest, and that's
what is a white brother and sister?
A white brother and sister. What do you mean?
Or whites, we don't consider them brothers and sisters.
No, I'm literally.
He's talking about his fucking family, you
My
dumbass.
brother and my sister, like my family.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, sorry, no, not like that. If anybody's in that. Yeah, no, I'm saying I'm like my family. When I say my brother, I can't sleep at night. I get nightmares of the police.
Can I say something? Or are you continue? I appreciate what you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize on that. That it's something, you know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that. Yeah. I really do appreciate that. And I think that's where we have a fundamental disagreement. I think we agree on some things. I think it's been productive. And I think, for example, what you just said, this is emotionally, right? I think that you are coming from a place of emotion. And
this is all emotion, but yeah,
and I'm coming from a place of facts and statistics. Now, you may feel more afraid of police officers.
And the facts and statistics aren't on your side either. He's fighting with emotion, and he's still kind of doing pretty well against your argument with these bullshit statistics.
The reality is, you are far more likely to be killed, harmed by someone in your community in these protests right now, not a police officer. That's a statistical reality. Just like I have nightmares about spiders. It's very unlikely that I die from a black widow. It's far more likely that I die from a home invasion.
I'm gonna tell you this.
But I have nightmares about spiders because they're pricks, and I don't like them and they scare me, but that's an emotion.
But here's the thing.
Another failed joke. He's a failed comedian. Did I mention that?
You don't know what my risk is because you haven't been in my community.
Facts.
So that's one thing. And secondly, I haven't told anybody about this because I'm sad and I'm ashamed of the situation. But you want to know why I'm afraid of cops? Because one night I was in my car. I did not drive. I did not do anything. and I was drinking, and my car wasn't able to move. So I literally got my car waiting for an Uber to come, right? After a night of drinking. The cops came by, and they said, hey, how are you doing? I was scared out of my mind. And when they asked if I drank, I said, yes, I'm waiting for an Uber to come through. They ended up charging me with the DWI, and I had to fight that right now.
Yeah, well, that's illegal.
You see what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to
Yeah, it's illegal, and they won't face any repercussions whatsoever for doing that illegal thing. That's the fucking point, Crowder.
say is this.
That's not because you're black. That's
No,
an
no,
open
no,
alcohol
but no,
container.
no, no.
Did they test you?
It's not because he's black. Shut the fuck up. The statistics demonstrate that it's very likely that it's because he was a minority.
They breathalyze you?
Yeah, they breathalyze you. Yeah.
The DWI is higher than you. Must have been pretty hammered.
Yeah, but the thing is, I wasn't driving, and I told him I wasn't driving.
Doesn't matter.
No, it does. I just people worry about it. It's being.
It doesn't matter.
But do you know how much money that's costing me? Do you know how much anguish that's causing me? I was talking to. It changed my whole life. I got depressed because of it, and I can't help but to look and say, "Damn, what if I was white?" I'm not saying it doesn't happen to white people. It does. I have white people that go, "Yeah, I went that too." But
but statistically per capita, it happens less.
The person of the mind of a black man, it's always going to be in my head.
No, you were in your neighborhood when this happened?
I was like on Side-Town, on Riverside where I was staying at.
Okay, and this is the big issue too that I have with Black Lives Matter and these organizations right now in the charter is that if you look at the riots, they infringe on other people's rights, right? No, so this is what I believe the fundamental role of the police should be. I don't believe that non-violent drug offenders in their own house should be jailed. I think we can agree on that. I think you should be able to do whatever you want.
And not have a felony, right?
Right, of course, yeah. And Donald Trump has actually done more for non-violent drug offenders than any president really in modern history. Several people. But let me finish. Come on, you do this one. Let you finish. You got to let me finish your phrase. You do it a lot. But and I understand with King, you're used to dismissing people.
No, don't do that.
But
you're so mad, Crowder. You're so mad.
A police officer's job should be to protect the rights of its citizens without infringing on rights, on privacy rights, on property rights. Right? That's why we have a constitution. Now, you drinking in your house, I have a big problem with that. But a police officer, when you are drinking to the level of a DWI, which let's be honest is up there, in a car, it is his duty to make sure that you don't run over a child, hit somebody else's kid, harm someone else in your community. The moment you get in that car, and I understand you say that you weren't driving, but that's the most common excuse that's used. That's why it's the law. You can.
He literally just said, "I don't believe you." He literally just said, "I don't believe that you were driving. I don't believe you were out of your car. I think you were driving."
Not have an alcohol percentage and be at the wheel. Did you have an open alcohol container in your car? So it was just a breathalyzer test.
Yeah.
But you understand that that police officer isn't doing it because you're black. That police officer is doing it because they don't want you hitting someone else's kid. And speaking of someone,
no, he fucking. I hate him.
I had a close friend who was hit by someone who was drunk and will never walk properly again. Yeah. I full-heartedly support the police officer's right to charge.
I have a friend that's exactly that same thing. I lost a few people. You know what I'm saying? But I was honest and I was straight up forward. And my key and the thing, like he wasn't in it.
You broke the law.
No, it wasn't though. So that's why I have people fighting it. It's going to get overturned.
Hopefully you win.
Thank you. I appreciate
Hopefully you win if it's not a law.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It was wrong in that situation, and I can't help but look to say that I'm black. But here's what I want to say. I hope one day that you come join me, that you do come and scope it out. You do come, and do all that. You get your followers and say, hey, look, this is what's up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Call it a riot, and I'll do it. Say that the property damage, the deaths, the 900 officer casualties.
First of all, he needs to correct those statistics. But did he just give a condition when he'll actually go and attend a Black Lives Matter protest?
Condemn it, say that these riots have to stop, and we have to turn to peaceful protest.
Oh, you gotta condemn shit that works. That's what you gotta do.
Advocate it, and I'll show up with you.
You'll show up my protest if I say that?
Yeah, but if you actually do it and speak about that at your protest, and go out and speak out against these current riots, because you said here that you didn't consider it a riot, and I still ask you that question.
No, he makes that.
900 officer casualties, 14.
I'll show up if you just agree with me on every single point that I've challenged you on. If you just agree with it, I'll come.
15,000 arrests, $600 million in property damage. Say I reverse the order because I don't like the property thing. If that doesn't constitute a riot, what is required to constitute riots?
What I'm saying
you
is...
walk down 6th Street, man. It's nothing but homeless people and wooden boards.
Yeah,
businesses have been destroyed.
Yeah, no, it's been wooden boards because of COVID-19.
No, it's not wooden boards because of COVID-19.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Wood is permeable. You wouldn't use wood to block germs. You've seen mold grow on wood?
They put wood up there because it was shut down.
No, that's not why it shut down. That's not why it shut down in Deep Ellum. When you can look underneath those wooden boards. I went down to Deep Ellum. These businesses have had their windows broken. You just said that you saw people burning cars here. You just said that you saw people committing crimes. People can rewind the tape. You said you saw some shit out here, and then you said it wasn't a riot.
I'm sorry. I meant to say that I seen it on TV. I meant to say I seen it on TV. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. No, there are riots that are out there.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? They are. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a riotous movement right now.
Yeah. It's a protest movement that has a couple of bad apples. Come on.
$600 million in property damage. You're talking about dozens dead, 900 officer casualties. That's not a few bad apples, man.
Yo, okay, that's not a few fucking bad. Dude, is this a joke? He's unironically going in the opposite direction. First of all, in the last 3 months, I'd like to see what across the nation. Actually, before the protest, because shit's gonna be a little bit different now. The statistics will definitely be skewed in favor of us, of like left. But before all this stuff happened, 3 months. From 3 months before to George Floyd's death, I would like to know across the nation how much money in merchandise has been civil forfeiture and was just given to the police? I'd like to know that. See if that's a fucking terrorist
That
organization.
didn't happen with people like MLK. It's unprecedented. It's people looking for an excuse to commit crimes. And I won't go out with people who do so, who fly the Black Lives Matter flag, whether you agree with their charter or not, because that is the reason for these riots. And I think what's most important is addressing the real problem right now, which is crime in the communities, largely due to broken families.
He's trying to pass by his point.
Do you have a mom and dad?
No, they passed away.
I'm sorry, were you raised with a mom and a dad?
Yeah.
Do you consider that a privilege?
Sure.
Do you have a lot of friends who maybe don't have fathers? 70% of black households don't have fathers.
I don't have a lot of friends. But no, I want to say
you can count me among your friends now. I think you're a decent
No, I don't want to be your friend. No one wants to be your friend, you dumb shit.
And I was speaking on protests. You said back at MLK that there's peaceful protests. Oh, sorry, Martin Luther King, there's peaceful protests like that, right?
MLK Jr. clarified, not the guy who nailed the note.
Yeah. But what else? But
what was that? Oh, okay, whatever.
Didn't black people get abused by the police and other white people at those protests? There's footage of that.
That did happen.
So
that did happen at some protests, and there were also some protests where white people marched with them, yeah.
And, oh, yeah, we know that, but wouldn't you call that a riot?
I would call it a gross abuse of power and crimes. Yeah.
That's not a riot? Like white people killing, lynching...
white people lynching black people, I would just say that's a lynching. That's a crime that should be prosecuted, and I support the death penalty for people who lynch.
So if you attack, and let me make sure, if you attack...
But I'm talking about the MLK movement, which was riot.
I support the death penalty for people who lynch, but Derek Chauvin should be charged with manslaughter. And then also, he did nothing wrong after the body cam footage. What a fucking inconsistent piece of shit.
So if people are getting lynched constantly because it's civil rights movement,
his movement was a response to lynching, rightfully so.
No,
lynching, I'm not defending lynching at all.
Yeah,
condemn it horribly. I want to be clear about that.
Isn't that a riot if it consistently happens? If it was a ritual? Because when people go out and protest and burn
no.
down, that in a sense is a ritualistic way of saying, hey, look, give us attention. So isn't that a riot?
So they're both bad. Why are we arguing? Lynching is bad. Riots are bad.
If you consider,
I'm against riots and I'm against lynching.
Okay, if you consider those times back in the day a riot when white people did really messed up stuff, sure, I'll call this a riot.
Yeah, no, that being said, you weren't having this happening in mass numbers in cities with the kind of damage and lives lost as you are now, but I think lynching is terrible and riots are terrible.
Didn't like 10,000 black people die during lynching?
At the MLK?
Well,
if you're talking about history, if you're talking about lynching throughout the entirety of the United States, I don't know what that number is. I'm sure it's terrible. If you're talking about how many people were enslaved, it's not really fair to draw the comparison to 4 months.
But what I'm saying
to
is
4 months.
Yeah,
Name me any modern movement that has been as riots. Nothing's even close. But we do have to wrap it up.
Yeah, okay, but lynching though. Lynching. There's a high number of lynchings that happen. More than, how many people you said died?
Right now?
Yeah.
It depends which number you use, anywhere from 18 to 20 something.
We'll do 20, it's way more than 20 something.
No, I'm talking about right now.
But I'm talking about the lynching back.
Oh, I don't have the number.
Yeah, it was way more.
You're talking about throughout the history of America?
No, I'm talking civil rights. I'm talking about the MLK, the Martin Luther King.
I don't have the number.
Yeah, it's way more. I would say it's about 200, right? Is that a right?
Well, there's a difference between a lynching, which is, for example, it's an assassination.
He can't fucking do it. He can't admit that black people getting killed because they are black is both a lynching and also a riot. He can't admit it.
Burning down. And here's the difference. Lynching is hateful, directed towards one person, right? These riots are harming black communities. That's a big problem, too. This is the first time it's unprecedented where you have black people burning down and looting black businesses and shooting black police officers. And that's, again, what tells me it's disingenuous.
You're not answering the question.
An excuse to commit crime, and I won't show up for a movement that doesn't outright condemn.
Answer the question.
Especially when it's not addressing the real problem. I think
you won't answer the question.
We need to address the number one cause of death in the black community, and it's not police officers.
He's not going to answer the question.
Sure. Yeah, I know this guy's yelling. I think he's just a crazy person. Police accountability? Sure. So but the root cause of this problem is we need more families, and Black Lives Matter seeks to completely deconstruct and disrupt it. I think this is more harmful. If you add up the charter, and we'll have this here. You can
answer the fucking question, dude. Oh my god, dude.
To disrupt the Western prescribed.
I want to say this though. I appreciate talking to you about this. I wish that we could march together. To be honest with you, but I can't say there's a lot of things I disagree with you on.
I know, and that's something I disagree with you on too.
Yeah,
but
we do both agree that police need to be held accountable.
Yeah,
and more accountability.
How about this? Another one. Police unions gone. How about teachers unions gone?
I don't know much about teachers. I don't like to speak on anything I don't know about.
Well, the reason okay, this is a totally different topic. Here's the issue. It's very consistent for me to be against the police unions. Well, I am a conservative. I'm one of those right wingers. I have a problem with unions because they remove accountability across the board. So you may not know this, but the average per pupil funding, for example, in inner city areas like Detroit, DC, Chicago, significantly higher than even a lot of white, wealthy suburban areas. It doesn't go to